God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with your light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, wide with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my
Earlier this week, the racing community lost a legend with the passing of a NASCAR Hall of Famer, David Pearson. Known as one of the greatest drivers the sport has ever seen, Pearson was a three-time Premier Series champion and still ranks second on the all-time wins list with 105 victories. At this time, we ask that you join us for a moment of silence to honor the memory of the Silver Fox, David Pearson. Here to perform today's invocation is Pastor Sammy Flores from Christ Fellowship.
Thank you, Lord, for this time that you've given us that allows us to be here tonight. And Lord, we pray that you would be with the drivers, keep them safe, and bless them and their families. And we also thank you, Lord, for our military and for their service, and for those who have given the ultimate sacrifice. We pray that you would bless them and their families. And bless this great United States of America. In your name we pray, amen.
Presenting our nation's colors today is the Homestead Air Reserve Base. Ladies and gentlemen, please join in as grand prize winners of this South Dade News Leader Art Contest lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome Miami-based soul singer and America's Got Talent semifinalist, Yoli Mayor.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
It's time to get to work. The drivers will strap in, 40 strong, taking on 200 laps, 300 miles at Homestead-Miami.
I know how hard our whole team has worked to get us to this point.
To know that when it's all said and done, you have a shot at obtaining the goals you set out in February, that's what it's all about.
Whoever finishes ahead of the other 3 drivers wins the championship. So it all comes down to one race, but I couldn't think of a better track.
We won the last race, but ultimately we're all tied. Nobody has an advantage right now.
He started 38th. He will finish first in a must-win situation.
That's clutch right there, guys.
I had to beat 39 competitors last week. This week I only have to beat 3.
Let's go get ourselves a championship.
You don't just win 7 races by accident.
The 00 is the guy to beat just because of how fast he was last year.
What a dominant win for Cole Custer.
Everybody's gonna be fast. It's just a matter of executing it now.
It would have been very easy to lay over in the middle of the year, but no one did. They kept believing.
Whenever the green flag flies, you have 200 laps to sort it out.
200 laps to sort it out. 4 drivers. Whoever finishes in front of the other 3 is the champion. For more of the stories, let's go trackside to Kelly Stavis.
1 year ago, Cole Custer absolutely dominated this race. The only downside, he wasn't a part of the championship 4. Today, this 20-year-old out of Southern California goes for his first ever NASCAR championship. He says 1 year later, he's got a better car and he's a better driver. And he starts today, Marty, from pole.
Kelly, here it is, 300 miles to decide a champion. And for 23-year-old Christopher Bell from Oklahoma, he told me the nerves are certainly there for him. He said, actually, I didn't sleep very good last night, but I know once I get in the car, it will be all business. The man giving him last-minute advice, Coach Joe Gibbs. Who else could fire you up more than the coach, Parker?
Great point, Marty. Tyler Reddick is known as one of the most aggressive racers in this series. And so I was talking to him this morning, and I said, all right, practice has gone to plan. Pretty good qualifying. What's the plan in this race? Do you hold back? He goes, no, I'm going to be more aggressive. He could be exciting to watch tonight, Dave.
Parker, at the start of this season, Daniel Hemrick's crew called this the redemption season. Why is that? Right here at Homestead-Miami Speedway last year, they had one of the fastest race cars, but had a mechanical problem and could not close out the championship. 15 top 5 finishes later, Daniel Hemrick has been consistent, but can he win today, or can he at least outrun the other 3 for his first championship? Rick?
And Dave, that is the answer that we're looking for. And again, 200 laps in front of us. A year ago, Cole Custer wasn't in the championship 4 discussion, wasn't a part of it, but ended up leading 182 laps of the 200-lap race. Now he starts up front. Can he dominate again this year? It's time to fire the engines. Let's go back trackside.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshals, the #1 ranked UFC middleweight in the world, Yoel Romero, and #9 welterweight contender, Jorge Masvidal.
Drivers, start your engines!
All right, Cole, take when you're ready. Right, man. Let me know when you got me. Clear to the car up here when you're ready.
The time has come. The engines are fired, and it will be the final time that Elliott Sadler will fire the engines on his race car, as he has already proclaimed retirement at the end of the year. Elliott Sadler, an absolute champion in life and racing.
championship celebration begins for Chase Elliott.
You don't really know what it's like till it happens.
His dreams are going to come true.
I really never let myself think about it.
Winning a championship would just be a nice reward.
William Byron is Xfinity Series champion.
I just want it for my team more than I want it for myself.
4 drivers equally hungry for a championship, and it will be whichever one wins their first championship in the Xfinity Series. Let's take a look at today's starting grid, brought to you by Ford. It will roll across the top of the screen. Again, 2 championship contenders, Cole Custer and Christopher Bell, are making up row number 1. As we went to break, we mentioned Elliott Sadler and the fact that this will be his final start in the Xfinity Series and final start in NASCAR, as he has claimed that he will retire at the end of the season. Let's dial him up on the radio as he's now rolling down pit road.
Hey, Elliott, it's all the guys up in the booth. You have a minute to talk to us?
Yes, sir, Mr. Burton, I got you.
Listen, bud, you won races in all 3 series, but more importantly, you have earned the respect of your peers in a sport with so many great people. I want to just simply ask you, what do you want to say to your friends and your fans?
Well, just to tell them thank you so much, Jeff. Jeff, as you well know, is coming from such a small town in Southern Virginia. I wouldn't have never been able to meet the people and create the friendships that I've been able to create the last 23 years of this sport, especially with somebody like a Dale Jarrett who's been so good to me. So much fun, so much to be thankful for, no regrets, but the friendships will definitely last a lifetime.
Well, I'm going to tell you, we're going to switch it to today, your last race. What are your expectations, man? You got something for them?
Well, look, we're definitely relaxed. We have nothing to lose. We're going to go race hard. We had a really good One Main Financial Chevrolet yesterday. Let's just go after it, man. Let's just have fun and race hard and end on a good note and be able to share some memories here at the end of it. So, yes, we're disappointed we're not running for a championship, but we're very thankful to be in the position that we're in. And we want to end our relationship with Dale and Kelly on a high note and try to put this thing in victory lane.
Well, I'm going to take this time to say on behalf of the entire sport, we all appreciate what you've brought to this sport, not just in winning races, but in the gentleman you were, a hard racer, but you did things the right way, set a great example for a lot of young drivers. You've left a mark that'll be here for a long time, bud. Good luck today, but more importantly, good luck in your future.
All right, guys, I appreciate it, man. Y'all have a good race today.
Jeff, I can't believe you'd say that right before he's getting ready to race. He probably doesn't have tissues in the car with him. You get him all emotional right before the green flag.
He's earned it, man.
Yes,
such a
he
good job.
absolutely has. We'll ride along with a few different drivers, one of those being Daniel Hemrick. Has the South Point.
Yeah. Another one of the championship 4, Tyler Reddick, will have the Sunoco onboard camera as well.
Christopher Bell, the Ream Cam.
Can't come to Miami without having the defending race winner. How about Cole Custer with the Ford Performance onboard camera? Also the pole sitter. He's got the best view at the moment.
I love we get an inside view of all of our championship contenders today.
It was a pretty cool shot here. Actually, this camera is moving around on the track with the cars. Won't be out there, obviously, for the race, but a great vantage point. Being able to take a look at all of these competitors from a different perspective. Before the green flag flies, let's get a couple more updates. We'll go to Dave.
And Rick, we all know how important pit stops can be today. A win on pit road can be a win on the racetrack at times. And so Daniel Hemrick has a very experienced pit crew with him, but during the playoffs, they added Terry Spalding right back here as a front tire changer for his 21 team. Terry's 51 years old and a veteran in this sport, and sometimes that veteran leadership can help keep things under control just in case they might get a little bit chaotic.
And Dave, experience is the name of the game for Tyler Reddick's pit crew. This pit crew is the same pit crew that guided William Byron to the championship in this race last year. They also pit for Alex Bowman on Sundays. And really, essentially, this whole team, from David Ellens down, is the same team that fought and won this championship last year, Marty.
Parker, it's going to be a battle of experience on pit road today for Christopher Bell. He has Kyle Busch's team pitting his car, except for one guy, Ed Watkins, the veteran gas man. He'll be gassing the car today. And also Jason Ratcliffe on top of the box, and Tony Hirschman above spotting for him today, Kelly. He has a lot of veteran guys, and Christopher Bell says that's my biggest key in my corner.
Well, Marty, this most certainly is a team sport, and the pit crew working with Cole Custer in this 00 comes from a variety of Cup teams. They have been with Cole since his Truck Series days. Crew Chief Jeff Mendering told me they have been steady all year, even getting better in most recent weeks. They never thought about making a change ahead of this championship race. He told me these guys have gotten us to this point. They can help bring home the championship, Rick.
Bring home the championship is what everyone on these 4 teams is focused on right now. And Steve, here are the numbers.
Yeah, 1.5 miles oval, 200 laps for 300 miles. It still will be in stages, 45 laps for both the first and the second stage. And then the final stage, 110 laps. You expect to go about 58 to 60 on fuel, so definitely will require a pit stop. And let's just be clear, Rick, it's simple, right? 4 drivers.
Simple, I said that earlier.
4 drivers with a chance at the championship. It won't be easy, but it is simple. The highest of those 4 will be the champion.
Let's listen in on a little of the radio communications. We'll start with Tyler Reddick's number 9 team.
Dave, Kelly, Dale Jr., Tyler, Earl, good luck, guys. Good luck to you today, and we appreciate it. It's an honor to have you guys running for our championship.
10-4, thank you. Hey, I thought you said you were going to bring the sun today.
I can see it from up here.
It has been an amazing year. Thank all you guys for your hard work and all the wins and the polls. It's been so much fun. Got a lot to be thankful for. Be awesome out there today, bud. See where we're at. We'll go get them. Have fun.
That first voice that we heard on the 9 team, that's actually series director Wayne Otten that was chiming in there and letting him know good luck. And he did that to all 4 of the championship contenders and was, I guess, jabbed a little bit there for this. He needed a little sun, but didn't get it. They're going to let him know 1 to go before the green flag.
And Rick, I don't think we could bring up how crazy these first laps have been in the Xfinity Series. Jeff, you and I saw it in Texas and Kansas. These first laps are normally a place to settle in. It is a 300-mile event, but it's been anything but settling in. We've seen major accidents at the beginning of some of these playoff races.
Yeah, track position is so important. And by the way, these guys have been sitting here thinking about winning a championship for weeks. Most of these guys have felt pretty good about where they were coming in, except for Christopher Bell. He had to win last week, but now it's time to get it done. No more talking, no more thinking. Now it's time to mash the gas, put the car where you want it, but you're going to have to be aggressive. You're going to have to force the issue. That 9 car on the outside, we've talked about him all year long. He is not afraid to be in that throttle. Watch him. He's going to be aggressive from the time they drop this green flag.
If we break it down in its simplest terms, Christopher Bell is the favorite. Coming into this race, he's won the most this year, a series rookie. Cole Custer, great at this racetrack. Won here a year ago in dominating fashion. Then you have Tyler Reddick and Daniel Hemrick, both underdogs for the championship. Hemrick in his 2nd year in the championship 4, and Tyler Reddick just a series rookie. That's what's in front of those 4 drivers. A championship is being dangled out there 300 miles in front of them.
And remember, Mick, there's people in this race that are looking for their first win, looking for something good to happen. John Hunter Nemechek won earlier this year, sitting there starting 3rd. He doesn't know what his future is for next year. He needs a win to get some positive energy trying to build something for next year.
A battle of the organizations, the big organizations. Joe Gibbs Racing is involved, Junior Motorsports, Stuart Haas Racing, and Richard Childress Racing.
It is time for the pace car to make its way onto pit road, and that means that Cole Custer, Christopher Bell making up row 1, bring the field to the green flag of the Ford EcoBoost 300.
Bell spun his tires huge on the inside. That stacked this bottom line up.
And quickly the top line has taken advantage of that.
First mistake in a long race. Christopher Bell spinning the tires on the green flag.
He falls into 4th after both Reddick and Justin Allgaier were able to get by. And different lines around this racetrack. We'll see them dive to the bottom of the racetrack in turns 1 and 2. And then we'll also see them run right up against the wall in 3 and 4. And at points, they'll be running right up against the wall and never leave the wall.
And Tyler Reddick in that 9 car already to the middle of the racetrack. You see most cars on the bottom, trying to make the bottom work on new tires. Reddick already in the middle.
You mentioned Tyler or Christopher Bell spinning his tires on the start of this race. Let's look back on that.
Yeah, right here you can see he's approaching the start zone. The flagman starts the race, spins the rear tires, huge, but look what happens behind him. That allows Elliott Sadler to get underneath the 22 of Cindric. Cindric has fallen all the way back to 11th, started 5th. It all started with that restart.
Well, we're going to talk about this. It's not just 4 playoff cars on the racetrack. Everyone else is out there as well trying to win a race. So kudos to John Hunter Nemechek. That was a chance he had to really affect this race, starting right behind the championship contender, Christopher Bell, but he did a nice job, no contact.
Steve, remember all these drivers started on scuffed tires. These are the tires that they all qualified on. And right before the start of the race, Christopher Bell actually asked, I cannot beat the 0-0 to the line no matter what. Tony Hirschman, the spotter, said that is correct. So it was in his mind. He was worried someone was going to spin their tires on these older tires.
And he was the one. And now Christopher Bell trying to get by that 42 of John Hunter Nemechek.
Calm race car driver. We saw him last week at Phoenix. Had a mission, had the best race car, didn't make any mistakes, didn't push the issue when he didn't have to. Right now, it's a little bit faster than John Hunter, but it's going to take his time trying to get around him. Behind them, Daniel Hemrick did not show any speed in practice. You can see he's working the bottom of the racetrack. That's why he said they weren't fast in practice. He wanted to make this bottom work. He said, our car is better than we were on the timesheet. Right now on the bottom, getting by the one of Elliott Sadler.
And Jeff, I thought it interesting on that initial start when you saw the 20 of Christopher Bell spin his tires. Another driver that did, the 19 of Brandon Jones. Well, he was right in front of Daniel Hemrick, and that prevented Hemrick from jumping and taking advantage of what could have been a mistake on the inside line.
Little things in a race, Dave, they all add up. Right now, Daniel Hemrick started 10th, up to 6th.
5 right here, that's 4.
An underdog in this race has yet to win in the Xfinity Series, but was a part of the championship 4 a year ago. So experience as far as running at the highest level in this series.
Yeah, but Rick, that's really my concern. I had this conversation during qualifying with Dale Jarrett. It's one thing for lap time, it's one thing for speed, one thing even for racing, but Jeff, closing the deal. Having the chance at the front of these races in the closing laps, there's an emotion to it, a pressure to it. Can Daniel Hemrick, who has never been able to accomplish that, now accomplish it on perhaps what would be the biggest win ever?
And it would take a win, more than likely, to win the championship. He has very strong competition in front of him right now in the likes of Cole Custer and Reddick, as well as Christopher Bell. All 3 of the championship contenders are in front of him, as we see Justin Allgaier in the 7 trying to get by the 9 of Reddick, and you'll see how much that outside line, the momentum works on exit. Parker.
And guys, as we watch these two race for a second, it's interesting. I talked to Justin Allgaier and Jason Burdett today, and I said, how do you race your teammate who's racing for the championship? And they said, obviously, cautiously, but we can't ruin our own race. And there you saw it. The 9's kind of been holding the 7 up a little bit. Oh, wow. Justin Allgaier gets passed on the outside by John Hunter Nemechek, but he's been holding them up, and therefore he's actually lost the position because of that. That's a tough position to be in for Justin Allgaier.
You guys both mentioned those 2 cars that are moving up towards the front, John Hunter Nemechek and Justin Allgaier.
You see Daniel Hemrick on the bottom. All these guys have gone to the top. Daniel Hemrick stuck to his guns in practice. I'm going to run the bottom. That's what I need to do. I'm not going to worry about the timesheet. I trust my car. I trust my team. Right now, it's working out.
Daniel Hemrick in front of Christopher Bell and trying to get by one of the lap cars there, the 39, Angela Ruck. Look how close this was with Justin Allgaier right there.
You'll see that all day long. Somebody will run the middle, the bottom. They'll get next to the guy on the top, and it's hard to keep your car from getting sideways. You got to turn the wheel a lot as you approach them on corner exit.
10 laps complete, and let's listen in to Daniel Hemrick's radio.
Just remember, as you get closer, these guys are going to start moving where you at, just to mess your air up. So just think about that now. The 20's going to the bottom there, 1 and 2.
Mess the air up. So already thinking about how the air affects these cars early in this race.
Yeah, the people in front of you see you making something work, and then they'll take that away from you. They'll run that line, even if it makes them a little bit slower. They'll run that line, get the air off your car. It hurts you more than it hurts them.
Kelly, has Cole Custer said anything on the radio out front of this pack?
No, he's up there in that clean air. The one message, though, was just ahead of the the green flag. getting a little pep talk from his crew.
All right, bud, get focused here. Everybody put a lot of effort into this season here. We had a really good year going so far. Let's just treat this like another week, another race. No pressure here. Got a good enough car. This is a great track for Cole, so if we just do our normal deal here, we'll be fine.
So I think the key there, treat this like any other week, no pressure. That's exactly what they've been trying to do all weekend long, is just go through their routine like they have every other week this season.
It's hard to block out the fact that at the end of this race, if you're in front of the other three competitors, you will be the Xfinity Series champion. That's got to be in the back of all of these championship contenders' minds. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Ford. Going further so you can. And by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. Drop of the green flag. It's been Cole Custer's show. 16 laps complete. Tyler Reddick and Daniel Hemrick have moved into the second and third spots. John Hunter Nemechek is fourth. And then the other championship 4 contender, Christopher Bell, in the 5th position. So the championship 4 all inside the top 5 at the start of this race.
Daniel Hemrick keeps pounding the bottom line. Left side tires right on that line. Definitely faster through the corner. Gives up some straightaway speed. You can see the 9 of Reddick drives away, but watch Hemrick as he drives in the corner. Look how much ground he makes up here. Runs right on the bottom, gets below that upper seam. Right here is where the 9 car is going to have an advantage.
How long does he stay down there, or will he continue to run down here and let everyone else run up next to the wall?
He's been down there for 2 days, so I'm not sure we're going to see him move up. Jeff, you mentioned it. He was going to commit to the bottom in practice and work on his car on the bottom. I wasn't sure I was a big fan of that strategy, but early on, it is definitely holding on, Dave, better than I expected it to.
Well, and Crew Chief Danny Stockman talked to me about that this morning. He said when teams have a package for the whole race car that they know works, you'll see the consistency. You'll see it in practice, you'll see it in qualifying, and then you'll see it in the race. We found that around the Chicagoland time this summer. We like it for Daniel. We know that it works, and we're staying with it.
Kind of throwing into the mix here as we see the 20 of Christopher Bell trying to get by John Hunter Nemechek. John Hunter Nemechek, just a 21-year-old out of Mooresville, North Carolina, and the son of Joe Nemechek, a NASCAR great who had such success qualifying. And you have John Hunter Nemechek trying to kind of follow in his father's footsteps, and at a young age still trying to figure out where he's going to land, what team he's going to be able to run full time for.
Yeah, Ross Chastain was announced to be taking over this 42 car next year after winning in it earlier this year. Christopher Bell takes the hard left to go to the bottom. And Jeff, here's the difficult part. He's going to be by the 42, but will he be by him on corner exit? Will he be able to slide him in front of the 42, and will the 42 leave him room? He does. 42 is going to try to cross him over, though.
That's okay, though. So Bell got the spot he really wanted. He kind of wanted to get on the outside of the 42. The 42, see what he did? He entered high. He didn't go to the bottom. See how that works out? Kind of pushed Christopher Bell out of the lane. Not, almost contact. Not pushed him physically, but that air kind of pushed Bell up out of the groove.
We heard Bell cautiously getting back into the gas there as they came out of turn 4.
And so then what just happened right there, John Hunter knew that Christopher Bell had done that by driving on him by running the bottom. So what did John Hunter do? Once he got that spot back, he took the bottom. He said, okay, I'm not going to let that happen again. I'm going to take the air away from you, run the bottom. Now Christopher Bell is trying to make the middle work. Just a cat and mouse game, really. You watch what the guy behind you is doing. John Hunter's very loose up there. You watch what the guys around you is doing. You change your strategy based on that. That's what we saw right there. Now look at all the work that Bell's got to try to go get done again. He was by John Hunter. John did a good job of crossing him over. Now Bell's got to go do all that work again to try to put himself back in position.
Marty.
Rick noticeably not running the top is the 20 of Christopher Bell. Here's the conversation with BN spotter Tony Hirschman a moment ago.
So keep doing what you're doing. Let them guys burn the wall and burn themselves down. Only lap 11.
And for a guy from a dirt track experience background, Christopher Bell usually likes to run the high line, but he told Hirschman before the race, stay on me. It's going to be easy for me to want to get up there, but I don't want to go up there. Jeff, they have a plan. They don't want to be in that top lane right by the wall until 50 to go. So why wait that long when you know there's speed up there?
Well, I think they just don't want to damage their race car. You know, they feel like they can't run up there the entire day without getting into the wall. Get into the wall, take away your chance of winning this race. So right now, Christopher Bell's knowing that if he can get to the end of this first stage in the top 5, he has a very good pit crew. He wants to trust his pit crew, pick up some spots on pit road, and then go back to fight.
The challenge for Christopher Bell is when he sees other Championship 4 running the wall, and one guy that's going to run it all day, the 9 of Tyler Reddick. He's been very vocal that he's going to be on the fence all day long. He thinks that's his best chance. We're hearing there might be just a little bit of debris on the nose of the 9. You see it right there, a little piece of trash in that lower area. It's a black section where the air goes in. So you see it, it's kind of right there. It definitely takes away some of the air going into the radiator, but as long as the temperatures are okay, Parker, shouldn't be any problem.
Exactly, Steve. He just came across radio and said they're 260, and David Owens, his crew chief, said that's not too bad. But you know what? He's a man of his word, because he did tell us he's going to run the top. And you know what? He told me he did a test here in August. They did 360 laps. He rode 300 of them up next to that wall. And you know, contrary to belief, he thinks that because of this composite body, he can get away with hitting that wall more than anyone and keep the speed inside that race car. He believes it's his best chance to win this championship.
You said it. There's that 7 car.
Yeah.
Steve, you said it. He was going to be right against the wall.
Well, and he has the advantage, right? He was eliminated. The regular season champ, one of the favorites to make the championship 4, was unable to accomplish that goal. And for that reason, I think he could take a few more risks early, right? Like, it's almost win or bust, really, for the 7 car. Not completely, but I mean, that's probably how they would look at it. So Christopher Bell not willing to go to the top. That's going to give the 7 the advantage.
Justin Allgaier, self-proclaimed a perfectionist, mostly in graphics and design, but how about running right up against the wall where you're literally inches away? He's chasing after the Champ 4. It's Xfinity Series Racing, the Ford EcoBoost 300 from Homestead-Miami Speedway. NASCAR Drive, that's your live race day companion. You can watch throughout the broadcast and select alternate camera angles, or even ride along with in-car video of your favorite drivers. You never miss a lap with NASCAR Drive. Just visit NASCAR.com/drive. And a good battle now heating up for second. Here comes Hemrick on the bottom of the racetrack, trying to take second away from Tyler Reddick, and lap traffic is going to come into play.
Get too wide in front of Tyler Reddick. It's going to allow Hemrick to make a move here. They move to the bottom. That helps Tyler Reddick.
Hemrick is going to go that higher line to try to get by the lap traffic and keep the gap very close between himself and Reddick.
But what it did is it closed the gap. So watch what happens now. 21's going to go to the bottom of the racetrack. Let's see if he can clear the 9 car. That got him as close as he's been.
Seems like he's better than the 9 on the bottom of 3 and 4, but excuse me, 1 and 2, but 3 and 4 just hold his own. They're side by side. I think this is the better end if he's going to want to complete the pass.
Yeah, a little bit at the time, right? He got some lap traffic. That gained him some track position. Got him close. That got him door to door. Now can he clear him off turn 2? Reddick with a good run. Going to be close.
At so many different racetracks we talk, and he had the pass completed but didn't stay in front of him. But we've talked about side drafting, and did we see a little of that there with Daniel Hemrick going up, maybe side drafting a little bit with Tyler Reddick?
Well, see, now Hemrick's got lap traffic on the bottom. Let's see what happens. Going to get right to him. Now he's got to get to that left rear quarter panel. Cannot do it. The 9 drives away.
But he keeps fighting. Now he doesn't go as low. Stays right in the middle of the racetrack, a little bit higher than middle. And Reddick, again, right up against the wall.
Keep that pressure up. Try to get that young driver, Tyler Reddick, in that 9 car to make a mistake. Just keep applying the pressure.
You mentioned young Tyler Reddick, 22 years old. It's a 20-year-old of Cole Custer that's out in front of the field. And, you know, Cole Custer's been leading ever since last November. Lap 61, he took the lead at this racetrack and has not given it up in over a year at this racetrack. Cole Custer again leading. He has led already 35 laps as we go NASCAR nonstop.
Back at the Xfinity Series Championship in Miami Homestead, you didn't miss anything. You saw Daniel Hemrick take second place from Tyler Reddick, working his way toward leader Cole Custer. But of course, in NASCAR for a championship, the 4 have to race among the other 36. And right now, John Hunter Nemechek is one of those drivers with a very fast race car who could win this race. I said, are you going to be preferential to the championship guys? He said, oh no, don't forget, if I am faster at the end of the day than Custer, Hemrick, and Bell, Chip Ganassi is the winning owner on the year, Parker.
Exactly. They all have something to race for, Dave. And for Justin Allgaier in 5th place, his crew chief Jason Burdett told me after they looked at practice, looked at the results, they showed from laps 15 to the end of a run at about lap 30, they were faster in the 00, faster than 9, faster than the 21. They think they can win this race, Kelly.
Austin Cindric will be back full-time in the 22 car next year. He said 2019 starts today. The goal today, get all the laps in and get all the knowledge and experience he can, hoping that he'll be back here this time next year battling for that championship, Marty.
Kelly, final race for Elliott Sadler. When I sat down with him yesterday, he said, the way I view it, I'm not retiring from something, being racing. I'm retiring to something, being a dad and a coach full-time. That's the way I'm viewing it. I said, how are you going to celebrate tonight? He said, I like what Dale Jr. did last year. I'm going to have my guys on pit road around my car. We're going to have some beer. And oh, by the way, we're invited, guys. So the party's on pit road, and we're all in if you guys want to come.
And you know, NASCAR's actually lucky that they have someone like Elliott Sadler, because when Elliott Sadler was growing up, he was a stick and ball sports guy. He was excellent at sports like basketball, where he earned a scholarship to James Madison University, but a knee injury sidelined him from basketball. That put him full-time into racing, and now 24 years in the sport, 3 Cup wins, 13 Xfinity Series wins, 1 Truck Series win. Now he gets to enjoy some time with his family after an incredible NASCAR career. Just 2 to go in stage 1. It's gone quick, Steve.
Well, it has. It's only 45 laps. I think Cole Custer's doing a nice job of just managing it. Got out there to a couple second lead. You see him a good car width and a half, maybe 2 car widths off the wall. Daniel Hemrick is really the surprise behind Cole Custer. He has got through traffic running the bottom and has run down the 00. And here's another one, the 7 of Justin Allgaier seems to be settling in. This will be for the 4th position.
Now the 4 championship contenders, points don't matter. But behind them, points matter a lot. The guys who are still fighting for that 5th spot or 6th in the points or 7th, those are the guys like Justin Allgaier who every spot they can get before the end of this stage is very important. John Hunter Nemechek. He continues to race hard against Justin Allgaier. Now to the bottom of the racetrack for the final time in this stage. Cole Custer is going to see the green and white checkered flag. He'll win stage 1.
I think the winner in stage 1, because of where he started and where he got to, is Daniel Hemrick. That 21 car all the way to 2nd, Rick, that's huge to get that track position.
Spinning.
Oh.
And sliding coming up to turn 4.
Oh.
The 90 around. Cesar Baccarella is stopped and doesn't look like made too much contact there, but the yellow was out. The stage ended after the 10th car crossed the finish line at the end of the stage. But again, sliding sideways. Cesar coming through the middle of the racetrack there.
Yeah, track's very slick. Old tires. Talk about how much this track eats tires up. Old tires, hard to keep control.
Now it's time for the crews to show just how good they are. They will try to keep their drivers at least in the same position, maybe a little bit better. Cole Custer dominating early here in Miami.
Running down a dream.
NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Credit One Bank. Credit card perfect for everyday purchases. And by Ford, going further so you can. Pit stop's underway, Parker.
Tyler Reddick pits out of the 3rd position. He complained of being too tight at the end of the run, that the track was rubbering up too much on the top side. To be Ford Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel, and an adjustment there in the left rear, Marty.
Top right is Christopher Bell. He said he has 0 lateral grip, meaning the car's way too free. Just cannot get back to the gas like he would like. Air pressure and a track bar adjustment, Kelly.
Well, Cole Custer in that 00 said that he fired off just a tick loose, but by the end of the run, he had gotten too tight, couldn't get the car turning the way he wanted. 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel, Dave.
Daniel Hemrick came down in 2nd position at the same pit road speed as Cole Custer. He's not going to beat him off pit road. This will be the 21 leaving with a 4-tire change, lost a couple spots.
Reddick grabs a spot. Christopher Bell, 3 positions, and Hemrick loses 5.
NASCAR season all comes down to this. Championship Sunday, 1 driver will be crowned. Who will it be? Our coverage begins at 3 p.m. Eastern here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Championship Sunday in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. But there is a title to be won here today in the Xfinity Series as well. A beautiful day for racing, a little bit breezy, but the Championship 4 involve an Oklahoma protege who's already won a Truck Series title in his career. A 27-year-old from the same hometown as the Intimidator, and 2 California kids, including a driver who's just 20 years old. He's made this track his playground, and it has continued this weekend. He's had a ton of speed, and he currently leads. He won Stage 1, talking about Cole Custer. Tyler Reddick, also from California, possibly the underdog in this race, not making it look that way on the track. He is running 2nd. Is there a big 3 in this series here today? Well, championship drivers were running 1, 2, and 3 before those pit stops. Steve?
Well, you mentioned before the pit stops, the 2nd place car of Daniel Hemrick coming to pit road. Well, let's look at their pit stop. Jeff had a little bit of trouble, looked slow on the rear. Oh, trouble getting the right rear tire out. 2nd to 7th on pit road.
Yeah, that's a huge penalty all the way back to 7th because he started 10th. Did a great job of climbing himself up into 2nd place. Now he's got to do all that work again. Such unfortunate break for these guys. Just can't afford mistakes in this race.
And getting ready to get stage 2 underway. And once again, Custer, Reddick. Custer on the outside, Reddick on the inside.
Second start in a row that the double zeros really got a nice launch out of that outside line.
Christopher Bell in the 20, that yellow number 20. Fourth, as we see a big run by John Hunter Nemechek, goes by Tyler Reddick on the inside, and now 3 wide for position behind them. As you see Hemrick in the 21 trying to get by the 7 and the 18 on the bottom of the racetrack on those fresh Goodyear tires.
That's why that track position is so important. Daniel Hemrick had worked himself up to second place. Now he's back here in the middle of this mess. He needed to be restart on that front row. Much easier up there.
Winner of the race, if it's one of the championship 4, guarantee themselves the championship. But we mentioned spoilers, the possibility of someone coming in and winning the race other than the championship 4. And right now it looks like John Hunter Nemechek, the strongest contender to race up front, as he's taken second away from Tyler Reddick, running the bottom of the racetrack in that 42, but trying to chase down the double zero of Cole Custer. Christopher Bell running in the 4th position. And Bell was one that he was the furthest back of the championship 4 through the entire first stage. And now looks to be a little more aggressive here at the start of this second stage.
Yeah, inside the 9 of Tyler Reddick. Probably come up here, a little side draft. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Playing pretty nice right here. I think he feels he's better than the 9. Pulls him back just on corner entry, just one time. The 9 kind of chases him in the middle. A little slide out of the 9 of Tyler Reddick. That's going to allow the 20 to go by. Jeff, we talked about last week, Christopher Bell had to go to the back to start that race and had to win at Phoenix to advance. We know he's a great race car driver, but that might be the most mature driving I have seen. There were times he had caught the 22 and the 42 in a battle, chose not to race them. The patience out of a young driver was almost more remarkable than his talent. He almost looks the same way here today. Very methodical with his approach.
What was so impressive last week was that approach and his maturity, but the speed of his race car allowed him to do that. He had a fast enough race car where he didn't have to push issue, would give a spot up to keep from getting wrecked. That's what a fast race car will allow you to do. Right now, not sure that we see that same speed from Christopher Bell as we saw last week.
Well, you almost see the 20 of Christopher Bell, at least in the first stage, maybe not pushing it as hard as he needed to, or maybe he didn't want to push it too hard because of the fact that he still had 2 stages in front of him, Marty.
And Rick, that's a great point all you guys were making. Christopher saying to Jason Ratcliffe under that caution, it was pretty frustrating to run the way they did in that first stage. But, Jeff, you make a great point, and Steve as well. They learned something. Christopher told me earlier this week, we learned to shoot for the end of the race at Phoenix. We knew that's all that mattered. We had to win that race, and that's really all we needed to do. And he said it changed the mindset. For me, he said, you go all year long, you worry about stages and stage points and playoff points. It changed the mindset. The last lap is all that matters, and here it is coming to be a factor for the 20 team once again here at Miami, because Steve, after all, 1 goal today, right? Beat the other 3 guys.
You know, that's a great point, Marty, that, you know, this stage racing has changed how drivers attack the races, how crew chiefs call the races, and now here, the biggest race of the year, no points, no stage points. Nothing matters but a championship. And you keep saying it, Rick, while a win isn't required, we think that might be just what it takes because the competition's so good.
You mentioned maturity. A week ago, after failing to get on the racetrack for qualifying, they had to start at the back. They started 38th for Christopher Bell. And he methodically, not in a hurry, didn't rush, knew the length of that race. He methodically worked his way to the front and won the race. And did it really in a dominant fashion once he was up front. No one contested him for the lead.
I spoke to spotter Tony Hirschman here on Friday, and I asked Tony about that. I was like, you know, what is it like to have a young driver that you can talk to and that trusts you? And he said that's what's awesome about Christopher Bell, is that Christopher knows he's young and knows that he needs a little bit of influence, and he does not mind that coming from the spotter. So that's a great tool, isn't it? Junior talked about it in practice today. Old drivers get older. They get a little hard-headed. They get a little bit, listen, I know what I'm doing, but a young driver like Christopher Bell, he wants that input. And that was vital last week, that information coming from his spotter, Tony.
you mentioned a driver getting older. Well, the man that Christopher Bell leans on the most is a gentleman by the name of Rick Ferkel. And he's in his late 70s, and he is the mentor to Christopher Bell. He is the guy, the one guy that Christopher Bell listens to every single week as to what's going on in the racing world. Most people 23 years old, they're still listening to their mom and dad. And Christopher Bell said, you know what, I listen to my mom and dad about life things and how I'm doing with money and everything. But he said when it comes to racing and this whole industry, he says there's nobody that I listen to more than Rick Ferkel. And again, from a 23-year-old listening to a guy in his mid to late 70s, that's pretty impressive.
You mentioned that 21 having a slow pit stop on the left side of your screen. The battle between Tyler Reddick and Austin Cindric. Reddick is not going to like that. Cindric slid up in front of him. It's going to allow the 21 of Daniel Hemrick to get to the left side, Parker.
And Steve, that's been the problem here for Tyler Reddick ever since Christopher Bell went by, and you saw him have that slide into turn one with the rear end coming out from under him. It's been loose inside that car. And you know, the last run in the first stage, he told David Ellens, I started off loose, but I ended too tight. So David said, we'll make some adjustments. We'll get you fixed up. But what I think they did is just loosen that car up for the end of the run, and then right now they're paying the price where they're too loose at the beginning run. And that's the trade-off, Steve, sometimes, especially at a place where you expect to have long runs like we're having now.
Yeah, I've actually seen, Parker, where if you get it so free, it doesn't build tight anymore. You just can't get it off the right rear tire, right, Jeff? Like, it builds tight because the right front gets abused, but if you start so loose, you can't drive it hard enough to get the right front to be overused.
Yeah, that's right. And you got to be able to fire off on these restarts. We saw Reddick immediately on the restarts went to the middle of the racetrack, then went to the top, where we see other guys working that bottom, trying to get track position. I think he's going to have to get that car where he can lean on it, drive it real aggressively. If you don't do that, then you just cannot push the car, and then ultimately you're trying to make lap time, and then you make a mistake and get in the wall and damage your car.
For more on the 21, Dave.
Rick, I had a chance to inspect the tires that came off of the 21 car after that first stage, and it's really hard to tell which is the good news, but there's a couple of 6-inch wear lines on the inner shoulder of the right front tire. Not a big deal, I don't think, and Daniel, in fact, was told by his crew chief, who's a great salesman, as expected, all 4 tires were worn. He was not told about that little extra damage.
Well, Mr. Patience, Christopher Bell in the 20. I like what you had to say, Rick. I think he knew that first stage was 45 laps. And so, you know, I don't need all of these laps. The last lap matters. Very, very patient. Enough that, Jeff, you and I had a little concern about that 20 in the first stage, but I think our concern is being answered very quickly as he somewhat easily drives by the 42 into the second position.
The other thing that comes into play is the mental aspect of this. Cole Custer, he probably feels invincible here. No one has challenged him, well, since last year to lead the race here. I think Christopher Bell might be saying, I'm going to go up there and just let you know this isn't your race to run away with. I'm going to come up and challenge you and let you know I'm here to win this championship too.
This is just like every other sport in some regards. You get a football team or a basketball team that's so used to dominating, and you get them late in the game, and you get them tied, you get them down by one, put them in a position that they're not used to. That's how you win races. You got to get people where they're uncomfortable, your competition. Cole Custer has led this race going back to last year for over 200 laps. You got to go take it from him. You got to show him that you got to put him in a position where he's not comfortable. Right now, he's controlled the pace. Take that away from him, make him make a mistake, push a little bit harder, make that team have to make a change on the race car, have a good pit stop. All those things creating pressure can create mistakes.
The only counter is I'm not sure I'd want to show my hand, because the most difficult thing for a car like the 00 Marty that's out there leading is, do you make adjustments? How do you know how you compare to the rest of the field if they don't drive up there and push you? So it's catch-22. There's never really a straightforward approach. Although, as we do close in on sunset here in a little while, this track will cool and the track will change again.
And Steve, it doesn't hurt when the pit crew does their job as well. +3 for the pit crew for Christopher Bell last time. He gave him the high five over the radio to say thank you for all those spots they gained. And this is also where it comes in where you do your job, Steve. Remember, Christopher Bell in that first run said we had 0 lateral grip. So Jason Ratcliffe, being the veteran crew chief he is, took a fairly big swing at this 20 car. Air pressure down on the track bar. It's worked much better on this run as well. So good job, Mr. Crew Chief and pit crew.
Well, Jason Ratcliffe, you can just throw that name around, and the reason you recognize it is because he is not a rookie crew chief. He has stints in the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series. He's won races in both garages, a lot of experience, and let me tell you, that's about as excited as he gets right there. That's Jason Ratcliffe. And I think, you know, Christopher Bell doesn't get excited either. But, Jeff, you know, the advantage a crew chief has is you can take a breath. You can get a water. You can step back. You can see the whole picture. Sometimes race car drivers, they get a little consumed about what's out the front windshield or what's in the mirror, and a crew chief can do a better job of painting the picture of the entire race.
Well, that's where Jason and his spotter we talked about earlier find gaps in this race where your driver can take a break, catch your breath, focus.
The gap between 1 and 2, 1.5 seconds. We're going to keep our eye on that. You're watching Xfinity Series Racing on NBCSN. It's the Ford EcoBoost 300. And Sunday Night Football, a classic against NFC North Division rivalries. Kirk Cousins and the Vikings visit Mitchell Trubisky and the Bears at Soldier Field. That's football night in America, 7 p.m. Eastern. Kickoff 8:20 p.m. Sunday night only on NBC. Cole Custer still up front, but a new contender running in the second spot. John Hunter Nemechek has just taken second away from Christopher Bell. Daniel Hemrick and Austin Cindric are all a part of the top 5 now. We'll get some updates from pit road as we go through the field, starting with Kelly.
And Cole Custer has now led 75 laps in this race. Add that to the 182 he led here a year ago. Another thing giving Cole Custer some confidence going into this race was his win a couple weeks at Texas on another 1.5 mile track. He was the first of the championship 4 to get locked into this race. That gave him an extra week to prep for this. He's pretty soft-spoken, but he comes in teeming with confidence for a 20-year-old, Dave.
One of the reasons why John Hunter Nemechek got around Christopher Bell was because he's learning. His spotter gave him a clue, and he said, what am I doing? And he said, you're still rushing the corner, getting back to the gas too soon. Once he backed that off, he picked up speed and got around Christopher Bell. Marty?
Dave, it was a challenge for Christopher Bell's team to figure out which car they were going to bring here to Miami. They planned to bring the car they ran at Kansas here originally. That car got wrecked. Then they were going to bring the car they had at Texas. That car got wrecked too. So they had to go to the car they ran at New Hampshire, beat Brad Keselowski. Heads up, that's the car he has today. Still 2 free. He said, I want more of that same adjustment, Dave.
Since the pit stops where he lost positions, Daniel Hemrick has made back 3 of the spots. That shows the speed there is in this 21 car. When I asked Danny Stockman about it this morning, he said, I think we're a couple of adjustments away from being one of the best. They'll have another chance on pit road in 13 laps, Kelly.
Austin Cindric's in that 22. He had a lot of confidence when I spoke to him this morning. He said, I think we easily have a top 5 car. They were especially happy with their fire off and short run speed. He said his key for today, though, was to not get into get in the way of any of the championship 4. He does not want to become a factor when it comes to crowning a champion today. Behind him is Ryan Preece in that 18. It was announced that he will be moving to full-time Cup racing next year as part of the JTG Doherty Racing program. He told me it's kind of bittersweet. He has a lot of memories here in this Xfinity garage, and he's really grateful that it's been a stepping stone to help further his career, Parker.
And behind him is Justin Allgaier. And after a 5-win season, you would think he'd be coming in here fighting for a championship. But obviously he is not. So I asked him, does that feel odd? He turned to me and said, really odd. It's really odd that we are not racing for a championship. Behind him is his teammate Tyler Reddick, who is racing for a championship. And Jeff Burton, you said he should probably try the bottom. Take a listen to this radio.
I need to think about trying the bottom down there in 1 or 2. Whatever we got going on is really bad.
And that is the problem. It's really bad right now. They've not been able to find a handle on that car, but a little bit of good news. He just clicked off the fastest lap of anyone, Marty.
His teammate Elliott Sadler's in the 9th position. I asked him yesterday, is this truly the last time we're going to see you behind the wheel? He said, well, I thought it was going to run a couple races next year, but the closer I've gotten to retirement, the more I like the idea of retirement. So I'm hoping that today really is the final time you're going to see me behind the wheel, Parker.
And Brandon Jones there in the 19 car. I talked to him before this race, and he said, you know, we're still fighting for something. We're trying to get the 9th in points. They came to this race 10th in points. They're trying to beat Ross Chastain in that 4 car right now in the top 10. They're getting it done, Kelly.
Well, neither Ryan Reed in that 16 car nor his crew chief, Phil Gould, know what they'll be doing next year. Phil Gould told me they really want to go out on a high note. He said it has been a pleasure working with Ryan. They wish that they could have had a little bit more success, but they have 2 wins at Daytona that they can hang their hat on, Rick.
Yeah, the reason they don't know exactly what's going to happen, Lilly Diabetes, who has been the sponsor for Ryan Reed, who is a type 1 diabetic, they're going away from the sport. And with that, when you don't have the finances to continue to run, you have to find a way to impress someone to give you a job and potentially get another sponsor. So that's what the driver and crew chief are facing right now with Roush Fenway Racing. Ryan Reed losing the sponsor this year, and he is still searching to figure out what 2019 will be for that young driver.
Well, you just heard Parker's report about the 7, how it's a little odd not coming to race for a championship. Well, because of that, he's been very aggressive at the top of the racetrack. But this is what happens. You already see the marks on the wall, so he is definitely not the first this weekend. But the 7, I mean, that's pretty good contact and rides along the wall. We're going to see how that composite body holds up. This is on board with his teammate, Tyler Reddick. He was thankful he wasn't right on his rear bumper running the top that time.
Well, Tyler got beside him, but Justin Allgaier, I'm all right, I got it. Drove into turn 3 and was able to get back by Reddick.
So when you hit the wall at Darlington, you get a Darlington stripe. Do we call anything here at Miami, or does everybody get one of those and you don't really have to have a name for it?
There's a lot of people that are going to have them, that's for sure.
Yes. Cole Custer has been running right up next to the wall. Sorry.
And that's why Christopher Bell has said he's not going to do that. He's going to try to stay away from the wall. See John Hunter Nemechek's running Cole Custer down. Cole Custer's still a lot of room from the wall. But behind him, John Hunter Nemechek is faster, using all the racetrack. Cole Custer can't afford to do that. See right here, look at the difference. There's a little bit of speed in getting up by the wall where John Hunter is, but Cole Custer can't afford to get into the wall and cause himself damage, so he's staying away from it.
So when John Hunter Nemechek was able to get by Christopher Bell, it was 1.9 seconds that separated Cole Custer and John Hunter Nemechek at the time when he took that second spot away. Now the gap has closed to just 0.8 of a second. So he has cut it in half, the lead that Cole Custer had. And amazingly, we are talking about tenths of a second at a 1.5 mile track where these drivers are going over 160 miles an hour around here as far as an average. But it comes down to tenths of a second each lap that determines what the gap is between 1 and 2.
Yeah, well, Cole Custer knows he only has to hold it for 5 more laps. And we showed you Justin Allgaier in the 7, Tyler Reddick in the 9, another Junior Motorsports car. He said he was going to be aggressive and be aggressive all day. Well, another one up into the wall, up in turns 1 and 2. It's funny, Jeff, you know, they run the top probably more in 3 and 4, but that wall's crystal clean. No tire marks at all. We see a lot of marks down in 1 and 2. You know this racetrack as well as anybody. Is the entry just more difficult in turn 1?
It's a little tighter radius. Like driving into turn 1, it just, the radius is a little bit tighter. It's easier to get into the wall. Not a lot, but just a little bit.
Amazing what you drivers are able to do. I know that I get nervous when I'm near another car on the interstate. You guys are driving inches away from the wall here at 160 miles an hour plus. Under 4 laps to go now for Cole Custer if he wants to continue the domination. But the problem is the gap has closed to now under 0.4 of a second. Here comes John Hunter Nemechek.
Well, it's decision time now for the 00. If he wants to stay in front of this 42, Jeff, I think he needs to move up. Maybe not to make his car better, but to take that lane away from the 42, force the 42 into a different lane.
Yeah, right now with 3 to go, I think he's okay. I think he's in good shape. He can still run 3/4 up. Not completely taking that air away, but taking enough away. John Hunter's not going to go past you, I don't think. He's not, you know, if you don't give him an outer lane. I think right now Cole Custer doing the right thing. 2 to go. Stay out of the wall.
So you mentioned it right there. Oh, look at this. John Hunter says, I'm not making enough ground. I'm going to make a run around the bottom. That is tough sledding this late in a run.
Steve, they told him you need to try that at some point because the 21 is making a lot of hay on that low line. I guess that was the try.
Yeah, whew, that was a rough time for the try because he lost a ton of time. The 00 is now way off the front bumper of the 00, but in a little bit of traffic for the 00, Jeff.
Yeah, but I think it's okay. I think he was far enough back. He wasn't going to catch him anyway. I'd go run the bottom again. Now's the time to try something. You can learn something. Nobody's behind you. You're not going to lose a spot for it. Try to run the bottom. See if you can learn how to do it in case you're going to need to later on in the race.
Or potentially give information to your crew chief and crew as to what adjustments you might need to make if we continue to see long runs, which we have not seen a caution come out with the exception of the end of stage 1. And now on this last lap of stage 2, Cole Custer continuing that domination. It will be 90 laps led added on to the over 180 that he led a year ago. And once again, he sees the green and white checkered flag. Stage 2 winner, Cole Custer.
See, Hemrick got back to 4th. That pit stop drove him back to 7th. Took him that long to get 3 spots.
Allgaier, Cindric, Reddick, Sadler, and Brandon Jones ending up in the top 10 at the end of stage 2. So both stages going to Cole Custer. He won the pole, he won the race a year ago. Now 2 stages here in 2018. So much more on the line for him today as that championship now dangling out there just 110 laps away. country music fans, Tuesdays you can't miss the new music competition show that's all about country. Shania Twain, Travis Tritt, Jake Owen are searching for America's next country music superstars. All new episodes of Real Country Tuesdays at 10/9 Central on USA Network. And drivers getting ready for pit stops once again. And we saw where the 21 team of Daniel Hemrick struggled a bit on the right rear tire, a little bit of a slower stop, and so lost that ground that he had gained on the racetrack. Now everyone wanting to be perfect. This won't be the last pit stop of the day, but it definitely is another important stop for these teams. And coming onto pit road now, Parker.
Tyler Reddick at the top left of your screen will pit out of the 8th place position, once again complaining that he starts to run off too loose and then eventually builds to being too tight. The team has been begging him to get to the bottom of the racetrack to try that. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel for the 9 car and adjustment in the left rear, Marty.
The team for Christopher Bell gained him 3 spots on pit road last time. Let's see what they can do here. He said the car held on better and for longer, but he's losing time at the end of the run to free. He said he wants the same adjustment, air pressure and track bar, Kelly.
Well, once again, Cole Custer said he got tight at the end of that run, just couldn't get the 00 to turn. The exception when he was running up top, but he said he was a little bit loose. Air pressure adjustment, 4 tires and fuel, Dave.
A lot smoother this time for the 21, but look at the traffic jam coming off of pit road.
Very congested off of pit road. John Hunter Nemechek will steal the lead away. Christopher Bell with a great stop, moves up a spot, and Cole Custer will now not start in the #1 position.
After the race, we will be with the winner right here. Well, not right here on the Peacock Pit Box, because we're going to move out onto the racetrack and the championship presentation. Cole Custer, one of the championship 4 drivers, had been leading this race since lap 62 of last year's Homestead-Miami race. He lost that lead in the pits, but the championship 4 drivers are all racing Rutledge in the top 10 currently.
Unbelievable. And Kenzie Hemrick is on top of Daniel Hemrick's pit box. That's his wife. She's a former NASCAR Next driver. So he's got a great companion to be up here on the pit box and someone that understands racing totally, guys. How cool would that be to be able to talk to your wife about everything that's going on? A Legends winner, part of that NASCAR Next class. There's so many great drivers in there. Cole Custer was one of them, but a really special person to be having on your pit box that really understands what's going on the track.
She knows racing, and definitely Daniel's biggest fan. So now John Hunter Nemechek gets the lead because look at this pit stop by Cole Custer's crew.
This is how quick it happens. The right side looks smooth. Both right side tires go on. The tires are controlled, but a little slip with that rear tire changer gets him just a touch behind. A little bit of bobble on the left front going back on. It doesn't seem like much, but a few tenths of a second add up to basically 2 positions lost.
And Cole Custer going into last year led 233 consecutive laps at this racetrack. First time he hasn't been in control of this race. Let's see what he has. Was that the move that could cost Cole Custer a championship?
John Hunter Nemechek in the 42 has chosen the outside line for the restart. Christopher Bell on the inside. Here comes the start of stage 3. And what a move early. Christopher Bell on the inside looked as though he was going to get by the 42, but powering by on the outside was John Hunter Nemechek.
So now Cole Custer in that unfamiliar territory. Now he's got to try to work himself dirty air, try to find a way around these guys. Hadn't seen it all weekend long or last year.
Christopher Bell closed the door on that advancement by Custer. And so now Bell running second. Cole Custer is third. Right behind him, Daniel Hemrick.
And remember, Christopher Bell right now, he's in that championship position. He doesn't have to win this race. Just got to be the first guy of all those championship contenders.
And up to the outside goes the 7 of Justin Allgaier. As we mentioned earlier, regular season champion, 5 wins. An incredible season for Justin Allgaier, but no championship on the horizon for him. Not a part of the championship 4. Cole Custer, strong move to the inside of Christopher Bell, and Cole Custer now taking back that championship 4 advantage.
Well, Jeff, you wondered how the 00 would answer. That didn't take long. A couple laps and easily disposed of the 20. See the hand out the window right there?
But 2 things. Number 1, Cole Custer the speed to do that. Number 2, now they know. They don't know. They didn't really know how fast Cole Custer was before. They didn't know if he was riding, if he was running 100%. They now know how much work they're going to have to do to make their car better.
And as we mentioned, Cole Custer doesn't have to win the race to win the championship. He won it a year ago as far as the race, but didn't win the championship because he wasn't a part of the championship 4. But now his whole goal is to win the championship, and he can guarantee that by being in front of everybody on the racetrack and winning this race.
But Rick, when he looks in his mirror, who does he see? Christopher Bell, Daniel Hemrick, then Ryan Preece, but then Tyler Reddick. So all the cars are right behind him that he's got to beat. He needs to go up and pass John Hunter Nemechek. He needs that gap in case something happens. Get caught in lap traffic, have a bad pit stop like we just saw. He doesn't need to just think, okay, I can run second here. He needs to go get as much track position on these guys as he possibly can.
And we have not seen a caution for incident in this race, and that means that we could see green flag pit stops midway through this run. Kelly?
And remember, as you talk about Cole Custer running for the championship, he told me this is the first time he's run for a championship of any kind. So he's really just had to rely on his whole body of work and experience to get him to this point. He's also put in a lot of prep work on the plane ride down. He watched last year's race at times, pausing and rewinding and rewatching certain segments of that race. And Marty, he wouldn't give up what exactly he was looking for, but certainly he came to this race well prepared.
Well, Kelly, if the 00 team learned a little bit of something about themselves, how about what it taught Christopher Bell? He got by the 00 on pit road. They think they're better on the short runs. And then 3 laps into the run, a message sent to the 20. You're going to have to be a lot better if you want to beat that 00 today, Parker.
And Marty, the last stage was kind of a disaster for Tyler Reddick and the 19. They fell all the way back to 8th, but things are looking a little better now as he's making a pass for 5th. And maybe it was this little pep talk he got before the green of the final stage. Take a listen.
This is the run right here, man. This is your whole season. You got to go. You got to get everything you got. You know, if it's not working up top, don't just keep running it.
And that is his crew chief, David Ellens, who was the championship-winning crew chief for William Byron in this race last year. And therefore, maybe it's just that little bit of motivation he needed. And guess what? He just clicked off the fastest lap time of anyone on the racetrack right there.
We talked about it all week. The 9 of Tyler Reddick. I didn't want to call him the dark horse, but in my mind, he was the scariest competitor because I feel he had maybe the least amount to lose, the least amount of pressure. He just seemed like he was be willing to do the most, and he said it all week. He was going to be aggressive from the word go.
All year. No need to change now.
And selfishly, Rick, when I look at these championship 4, think about this. As a series, the Xfinity Series is going to lose Daniel Hemrick to the Cup Series. He's going to drive for Richard Childress Racing next year. But the other 3 are all coming back. It's been a while since we've been able to say that. We've seen William Byron, Daniel Suarez, past champions move up through the ranks. Well, we know the 9, Tyler Reddick will be back in a different car, but be back in the series. Christopher Bell will be back. Cole Custer, from everything we know, will be back.
And it's very important to have experienced drivers in this series. That's what it's always been about. Those experienced drivers, they teach the younger drivers. With Elliott Sadler moving on, now I think Justin Allgaier, I think he turns into that guy, that experienced guy that people are going to look up to.
Talking about experience and a veteran, none better right there than the one of Elliott Sadler. It was a disappointing end to 2017. He was second in the championship hunt in the championship 4 last year at this racetrack, and very disappointed that he didn't get that title. But now coming back in his final race in the Xfinity Series, as he has announced his retirement, and Matt Tifft working to the inside. As they run, the championship 4 are running 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So they can see all of their competition. It's Custer, Bell, Hemrick, and Reddick. John Hunter Nemechek is out front, but for the championship, it's Cole Custer who has the advantage right now. .90 laps to go in the season, and John Hunter Nemechek leads the Ford EcoBoost 300 from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Running second and was closing the gap a little bit was Cole Custer. Now it's a second between John Hunter Nemechek and Cole Custer. Behind him, Christopher Bell. Then it's Daniel Hemrick and Tyler Reddick, the top 5, and the championship 4 all running 2nd through 5th.
Hey, Rick, you brought it up. One lap there. I'm not sure if the 00 slipped. It was a big 0.3 of a second loss. No real traffic. That lap right there, he brought it right back on. What I'm impressed about, Jeff, and you mentioned it as we ride on board the 00, is look how he's able to turn a little bit lower into the corner. It doesn't seem like much, but it's a groove and a half down. Allows that air to get on his nose. That's kind of, in my mind, no man's land, the middle of the racetrack, but he's making it work.
Yeah, I think there's some time for him to go get if he wanted to, running up by the wall. But right now, there's no need to. I think he's got to be careful. I think he has to make sure he doesn't get relaxed, because Bell's behind him. But there's a little bit of time to go get. I wonder when he will pull the trigger and go get a little bit closer to that wall.
Into this final stage, John Hunter Nemechek is out front. Dave, let's once again go through the field. We'll start with the 42.
And Rick, you'll realize again that this car has been won by multiple drivers this year in victory lane. 4 times for Kyle Larson, once for Ross Chastain, and now once at Kansas for this driver, John Hunter Nemechek. I asked crew chief Mike Shiplett, how do you set a car up for all those guys? He said they're all talented and aggressive. We just go with the baseline and let them tell me from there, Kelly.
Perhaps the only misstep for Cole Custer all weekend long was when he got into the wall in final practice yesterday, did a bit of damage to the 00, but the crew meticulously fixed all that last night. And when I talked to both Cole and Jeff Mendering, his crew chief, today, they said it was actually kind of a good thing, because Cole said even though he did it once, he knows exactly where that line is and not to cross it again today in the race, Marty.
Christopher Bell now back in third, and he comes from a dirt background, Kelly, where the races are very short. And he told me a few weeks ago, that's been the hardest part about NASCAR racing for me, learning when to attack and how early to save my car as well. They keep telling him we're running our own race. Don't worry about the pace of everybody else. There's 86 to go. Plenty of time to get past the 00, Dave.
Daniel Hemrick continues to run that low line, sticking to his guns. And when I asked him again this week about not winning yet, he said, I used to think it was a real distraction. You and the media will ask me. People will ask me, even when I'm out to dinner, hey, when are you going to win, pal? And he's looking forward to doing that. But he said, I started using it as a motivation. Getting to victory lane is certainly a goal, and a championship as well today, Parker.
And Dave, if this continues on going green to the end, we could see green flag stops here. And I asked David Owens, the crew chief, on the, oh, wow, Tyler Reddick gets to the wall a little bit there. Of course, that's what he likes to do. But I asked him, what position do you want to be in if you want to short pit those guys, meaning pitting a little earlier and using those new tires to gain an advantage? He said, if we're within striking distance at that point, meaning just behind all of them, then that puts us in a perfect position to put a little pressure on them. We'll see if that comes to fruition, Kelly.
Well, for Ryan Preece and that 18 team, it's all about going for the win today. They were a little bit concerned going into this race about their long run speed. They felt like they had too much fall off. For right now, Ryan's got some confidence. He said, we are one minor adjustment away from running up front. Behind him is the 22 of Austin Cindric. I mentioned that he would be back full-time with this 22 team, and he told me he thinks this is the first time he's gone into the offseason not trying to figure things out. He said, now I get 33 races with the same group. I can get the routine going, execute from there. They feel confident about their 2019 ahead, Parker.
Behind him, a very solid run for Brandon Jones, just fighting too loose right now, and has continued to fight that throughout the runs. Feels like the nighttime might be helping that car improve a little bit, but a great run by Brandon Jones. Then behind him is the 7 of Justin Allgaier. The race started off great. We saw him get in the wall a little bit, and now he has just been complaining that that car is way too tight. It doesn't turn off the wall, it doesn't turn the center, and it doesn't turn on exit. Absolutely terrible was his quote, Marty.
Parker, this is a nice run for Matt Tifft. A nice run because they've had to recover on their first stop of the day. They came down pit road, made some major adjustments, but they also left a left front lug nut loose. He had to pit a second time, restarted 23rd. He has made his way up into the top 10, and it's been a nice finish to the season for Matt Tifft with 5 top 10s in his last 6 races. Behind him, Elliott Sadler in the 1 car. He's in the 11th position right now. I asked him yesterday, why retire? He said, this summer it really hit me. I was coaching my son. I was having to leave every weekend. I was having to miss games. He said that made the decision very easy for me. And as I've gotten closer to this retirement, I look forward to those retirement days more and more, Rick.
Looking forward to spending time with your kids. We all are very aware of that. And Reddick, as we were riding along with him, and Parker was talking about Reddick, he got into the wall, and again, right up there against the wall.
Jeff, a man of his word. He said he was going to be committed to the top. He is, and he is flying, but he has to avoid these.
Well, that's the danger, right? We talked about it. Some real speed and running up there by the wall, but one little mistake, and this is what happens. And it's so interesting as you see the live shot, the 9 getting by the 21. Well, both of these guys have been committed. Hemrick's been committed to the bottom. Reddick's been committed to the top. I think Hemrick's going to have to change his strategy. They're starting to get away from him a little bit. It's starting to they're starting to gap him. So I think one or two things got to happen. Hemrick's got to change the strategy, or they're going to have to make a huge change on this car.
Telling you, Tyler Reddick, under 4 seconds. This race last year was long green flags runs, Rick. That top lane will pay off if he can keep it out of the wall.
Now, Tyler Reddick, the man on the move. He was able to get by Daniel Hemrick. Now he's passed Christopher Bell. Sets his sights on the 0-0 of Cole Custer. Tyler Reddick, the underdog, coming in, a series rookie, running for Junior Motorsports. And could he win the championship today?
Well, you just said it, Junior Motorsports. Jeff, you know how much Dale Jr. loves running the top. Wherever he's at right now, the big grin to see his car riding right on the fence. He loves the top of this racetrack.
And I tell you what's interesting too, this 9 car. Look, you know, this the modern race cars today. Look at when he drives through the corner. He's not going to hit the right front. He's going to hit the right rear. So that's what's so difficult. You can't see the right rear. You can see the right front. He's having to gap the wall with his right front, understanding the right rear is further to the right than the right front. Well, and he's got that right rear quarter panel an inch from the wall, and every now and then he kisses it. He just touches it just a little bit.
Well, I'd love to show you the marks on the right rear where he hit the wall, but he doesn't get off the wall far enough where we can get even a camera shot of it.
But that's, you know, when you're doing that as a driver, when you're doing that, there's a cushion. When you get there and you get right against the wall, it makes grip. When you get a little bit further away from the wall, that grip goes away. So you keep trying to get closer and closer because there's an air pocket in there. It just makes the car feel better.
Why didn't Christopher Bell take this line away from him? He was running up there, but he ran a line down. Is it too early in the race for him to take that line away?
Every time he comes on pit road, he gets the spots back. I think he believes that there'll be another caution. I don't think he thinks it's too early in this race for him to be taking chances. He doesn't trust his car, and he's hoping for a caution to be able to get a pit stop, get some track position, and make a change to this car.
Parker. And Jeff, yeah, we're seeing this 9 car be 2 to 3 tenths a lap faster than Cole Custer or John Hunter Nemechek in front of him. So that top lane is definitely working. His crew chief, David Allen, just came across radio, being the same guy just about a stage ago who said, hey, why don't you try that bottom? He just came on and said, keep doing whatever you're doing because it's awesome. You're flying right now. And you can see that for sure.
Well, listen, the stage is set. What he's doing is remarkable, right? There's drivers in the garage today and the Cup garage tomorrow that want to be able to do what he's doing. If Tyler Reddick can start the season by winning Daytona, the closest margin ever, and bookend it by putting this type of drive together, if he can run 71 more laps, an inch away, go past Cole Custer, John Hunter Nemechek, winners in this series, then you know what? Congratulations. Give him the trophy, a deserved champion.
And remember, he doesn't have to get by John Hunter Nemechek. He just has to get by Cole Custer. He has to be the leader of the championship 4 to win the title.
How good is this top? The 9 cars gained 2 seconds on the leader in only 18 laps. Big slide right there.
Yeah.
Still making lap time, though. Still the fastest car.
You mentioned it, the start of the season, Tyler Reddick. Look at where he is when the chaos happens in front of him. Able to maneuver through, not have any damage. And then, in the closest margin of victory, Tyler Reddick, Elliott Sadler, side by side, 4/10,000ths of a second at the finish line.
Elliott Sadler ended the year before not winning this race and winning a championship. Late race move didn't work out, and then went to the next race and missed winning that close. 2 heartbreakers for Elliott Sadler back to back.
Here comes Daniel Hemrick now, looking to the inside of the 20 of Christopher Bell.
Jeff, what would you have said if I told you that Christopher Bell was going to be the 3rd of the championship 4, being pressured by Daniel Hemrick to be the 4th? I don't think any of us saw this coming into this race.
No, not at all, Marty.
And Jeff, Christopher Bell asked the question that we're all asking down here on pit road, especially if you're in the championship 4 mix. Here's what he said.
First, what if there's no more yellows, man? There's 80 to go, so everybody's got to stop anyway. So it's going to shuffle the deck one way or the other. So we'll keep running our race. Odds are highly against that.
You can hear the desperation in his voice. He sees the race slipping away from him. But Steve, you got one more shot here on pit road. If it stays green, still got to come down, and that can happen in the next 7 to 10 laps. These guys coming to pit road. Do you think you can make enough adjustments if you're the 20 or the 21 to catch that 9 or 00?
Under green, I think that you're losing too much time. They're seconds behind. The 9 of Tyler Reddick has proven he's so good around the top. I'm a little concerned the 9 is going to be too free for a green flag pit stop. I'm sure Dave Ellens is going to discuss that with his driver. But I agree with Marty's assessment, Rick. I think 9 or 10 laps, windows open, we're going to see pit road, but you have to come right away. Losing too much time staying on the racetrack.
And cars drive differently with green flag stops than they do after a caution, so that may not be as loose on a green flag stop.
Final 100 miles as you see Reddick running right along the wall. Custer still leading the championship 4. Things heating up front here in South Florida as the Ford EcoBoost 300 has just 61 laps to go. And it's John Hunter Nemechek, but right on his back bumper just moments ago, you saw it in NASCAR Nonstop, was Cole Custer. He was able to close the gap, but wasn't able to make the pass. And while all of that was happening, Tyler Reddick got just that much closer.
All right, here's where we stand, though, Rick. Coming to lap 141, basically their fuel window is now. You can pit here under green and make it to the finish. Why I bring that up is new tires, 3 to 4 seconds faster. So it's a chess match. Who will hit pit road first? Just one lap. If Tyler Reddick or Cole Custer beat the 42 to pit road by 1 lap, they will easily leapfrog him and become the leader. The chess game now, Jeff, right? When you call your leader to pit road, remember, though, when you come to pit road, you are going to lose a lap. We see a hand waving at the camera. That's probably a spotter. I'm telling you, these guys are going to let each other know, and they're going to want to come to pit road as soon as possible.
I think if you're one of these two cars, you need to come. You need to be the first one on pit road. Christopher Bell does not have the speed. He's going to have to do something different. Cars are starting to hit pit road. None of our championship guys yet.
And guys, watch Christopher Bell dive from the top of the racetrack to the bottom. He was in the high line going to turn 3. Jason Ratcliffe and Tony Hirschman made a plan, called him to pit road. He executed that perfectly. This is a great call, Steve. Jumping everybody else onto pit road. Tires mean everything here at Miami, and they have been struggling right now with Christopher Bell's car. If they were going to run the top, they needed to tighten him up. If they were going to run the bottom, he needed the car to turn a little bit better. They decided they're going to make some pretty good changes here. Wedge adjustment for Christopher Bell, 4 fresh Goodyear tires. This could be the move of the race. We'll see if it gains him enough time to jump those other cars, Parker.
The 9 car, Tyler Reddick reacting to the 20 here. This is the key part of the game. Don't let them get too far ahead. Don't let them get too much advantage on those new tires. He's been too tight here on the top side late in the run. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires and an air pressure adjustment in Sunoco fuel for the 9 car, Tyler Reddick, reacting to the 20 here as green flag stops.
What I'm shocked about, though, Jeff, is the 9's on pit road, and the leaders have stayed on the racetrack. I think this is a huge mistake by the 00 right here. I think they're losing focus. They're racing the 42 on the racetrack. Well, that's not for the championship. They're racing the 21, the 9, the 20 for the championship. They've all come to pit road. I'm concerned for the 00. A yellow would be a huge break, but I think this is a big gamble right now for the 00. We'll see if he comes this time by, and if he does, how much time he's lost to the 9. Kelly.
And I could hear some concern from Cole Custer. He was wondering what happened to the 9. He said, we better not get beat on pit strategy or anything. And his crew chief, Jeff Mendering, saying, hey, we're just going to keep running our race. So they have kept him out.
Yeah, I don't understand this. They just went by pit road again, Steve.
I'm baffled. I mean, a yellow, and you're going to get lucky. You see the 21 of Daniel Hemrick also still on the racetrack. I mentioned that I thought he had pitted, but he is still on the racetrack as well as the 00. The 9 and the 20, while they do have them a lap down, they're going to have a yellow. A yellow is really the only call that makes this work. Staying on the racetrack does not work unless you have a yellow. The only other thought would be that you're going to have the freshest tires if they do cycle, but they are losing a tremendous amount of time. Just look how much the 20 has gained on the 9 by pitting 1 lap earlier.
Well, and we saw that gap, the 7 and the 20. The 9 and the 20, those were the first 2 of the championship 4 contenders to come to pit road. And again, Cole Custer staying out on the racetrack in that 00. Now, Steve, is a situation where they have to wait until the end of their fuel window and hope that a caution comes out, or have they just handed this championship away?
Rick, I'm baffled. I mean, right now the strategy, stats would say now he has to run all the way to the end of his fuel run. But you're giving up 2.5 seconds a lap. I think it's too big of a gamble. They already had position. I don't think now is the time to gamble. Here comes race leader for the 42, John Hunter Nemechek. That makes 00 the leader of the race.
Now Cole Custer in control of the race, but his competition has been on the racetrack, turning faster laps. As you heard, bring it to me this lap. The 21 on pit road as well as the 42. Dave.
42 in, trying to win for Chip Ganassi Racing. This will be the last ride for him in this race car. Someone else will be driving it in 2019, just going tight in the center. The bottom of the screen, then Daniel Hemrick. The adjustment they did last time didn't help the turn, and it took the rear end out of the racetrack. So they're going to go back on that, give him 4 fresh Goodyear tires, and fill in full Sunoco fuel, Kelly.
Cole Custer has finally made his way down pit road. The last time he came here, they made an air pressure adjustment. He said that change helped him early in the run, but by the end, he is still getting really tight in this 00. The problem is that the car just won't turn as well as he wants it to. I have not heard a change called for this pit stop other than the 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. We'll see how this pit crew does and what could be their last stop.
The problem for Cole Custer right here as we see their pit work being done is here he is on pit road. He's leaving pit road right here. Well, guess who's already passed him? The 9 of Tyler Reddick back on the racetrack. That was for the race lead. That could have been for the championship. With 53 laps to go, a huge pit call by the 00. Now, he's going to have fresher tires, but look, there he is, just now coming off pit road. That's what, a quarter of a lap? He even lost the position to the 42. I just am baffled by that pit strategy of the 00.
Cole Custer, who was in control of the championship 4, now Cole Custer slides out, and he is 3rd as far as the championship 4. Tyler Reddick's up front, Christopher Bell running 2nd.
When all this started, Tyler Reddick was 1.9 seconds behind Cole Custer. Right now, Tyler Reddick is 8 seconds ahead of Cole Custer.
And really the big benefactor, probably Christopher Bell, the first car we saw come to pit road. He was not even really in the picture, and here he is just a second behind Tyler Reddick.
All right, as a driver, Jeff, Tyler Reddick, we've seen him run right up against the wall, and we mean right up against the wall, touching it a few times. How do you focus for the last 51 laps, knowing that a championship is in front of him?
Well, the first thing he has to do, we heard him say all day long that his car is loose, taking off under sticker tires. Well, this right now looks to me like he's loose. The car still looks loose to me. It doesn't look stable. He's got to ride that out. He can't make a mistake waiting for the car to come to him. He also can't go to the wall too soon. So all those things, everything he learned early in the race, when do I go to the wall? When's it the fastest to go to the wall? Those are the things he has to apply right now. Forget Christopher Bell behind you. Think about your race car. That's the first thing you have to do, 1 lap at a time.
And with those fresher tires and with those new tires and 50 laps to go, I mean, Cole Custer is the fastest car on the racetrack, but at 7 seconds back, I just don't think he can make up the time as we see Garrett Smithley correct this the 0. There'll be no yellow. There was a lot of action right there. I was trying to do some math, and the 0 spun out.
Anything added to 0 is still 0, Steve.
I'd say this is fortunate. To spin onto pit road in a narrow entrance to pit road and not hit anything, Garrett Smithley pretty lucky right there.
Yeah, so what I was saying is Cole Custer's using those new tires, Jeff, gaining time, but I just don't know if it's going to be enough as you see the 20 getting stuck behind the 61 on the bottom.
But Christopher Bell is coming. And now it looks as though it was pit strategy when you come to pit road, which could end up determining the champion in 2018. Christopher Bell strong on the bottom of the racetrack, closing the gap now between the 9 and the 20.
You can see that 9 car, how loose he is. Watch the back of the car moving around in the corner.
48 laps to go in the championship for the Xfinity Series title. Tyler Reddick up front. pass for the lead happened, and Christopher Bell has taken the upper hand in the championship of the Xfinity Series. Tyler Reddick has fallen back to second now, and in a very tight battle here, Reddick hard into the wall.
Jeff, I was just telling you, I thought he needed to go to the top, and you said he can't. It's not ready yet. The next corner he did, he got into the wall.
Yeah, he's just got to wait. The car is too loose right now. It's just way too loose to run that wall. So Reddick, knowing Christopher Bell is coming, you know, he had to go there. He just felt like he had to go there. He didn't want to give that spot up, but just went a little bit early. It's not over, though. We saw earlier, Tyler Reddick's car after 20 laps, 25 laps, that's when it loved the top. So this race is not over with the 9 car. I think it's going to get better as time goes by.
It's not only the 9 car, the 00,
right.
Even though he might have made a mistake on pit road,
listen,
he has closed the gap. Now it's just 2.5 seconds.
I don't care what they say. There's no might to the mistake. The first car to come to pit road was Christopher Bell. He's leading the race. So that was the strategy. The 00, the point of the last cars to pit road, the newer tires are paying off. He's closed the gap from 7 seconds to under 3 at 2.7 seconds back. But now the new tires are kind of gone. He's matching lap times of the leader. I don't know if he can continue to drive forward. Like I said, Christopher Bell pitted first. He's the leader. The 00 is just fast. If he can somehow get in front of this 42, Kelly, then he can set his sights on the other Championship 4 competitors.
I know you've questioned that strategy on pit road, and I think so did Cole. And when he came off pit road and cycled in, you could hear the frustration in his voice. Here's what he said before that pass for the lead was made.
Are you racing the 9, or where the hell is he? 9 is the leader, the 20 is second, the 42 is third, you're fourth. They're all in front of you. You're doing good here.
So he didn't even know if he was behind or ahead of the 9 and the 20, and then the team just trying to keep him calm. He said, how far back am I? And they said, look, you're much faster than the leaders. Just keep running your race. There's plenty of time left.
Well, Steve, we wondered when that outside was going to come in for that 9 car. It's now. The last lap, he was 0.2 of a second faster running that top. Here he comes.
Can he do it? Can Tyler Reddick put 40 laps together, running an inch off the wall at Homestead-Miami versus Christopher Bell? He's won the most races, the most dominant driver in the series. He's committed to the bottom, giving the 9 the top.
Not that time.
Christopher Bell stays at the top of the racetrack. Now he takes the line away from Tyler Reddick. How long will he stay up there?
But they worked on their car. They've been working on the bottom of the racetrack, so they worked on their car to make it run the bottom. He knew he was terrible on the top, so now he's back to the bottom, but he's not going to be able to stay there. He's going to have to get up in the top and just block Reddick.
A lot of laps to go. Sorry,
Rick,
Marty.
real quick, that's one thing they're committed to. They had that long debate on the radio. Do we tighten the car up to run the top, or do we work on it to run the bottom? They've chosen, Steve, to run the bottom with the adjustments they put in that 20 car, so I don't think the top is much of an option.
Here comes the momentum. Tyler Reddick, a big run as he comes up behind the 20.
Well, like Marty said, the top wasn't an option, so the 20 of Christopher Bell protects the bottom. The 9 loves to see that, gives him the top.
Christopher Bell playing a little bit too nice. He's just going to have to roll up in front of the 9. If he gets hit in the back down the straightaway, then that's just how it's going to have to be. There you go. Block that outside lane.
Little shove there out of the 9, and will he dive to the bottom of the track again? Christopher Bell in the middle of the track now.
Oh, that's not going to work. That's no man's land right there. He's going to come up and block, and Reddick's going to have a decision to make.
Had to get out of the gas.
Listen to him lift, trying to stay out of the back of the 20 car. He was all the way out of the gas on the straight.
And 1 second back, Cole Custer is drooling. He can't wait to get into this battle. He's closing into 1 second as these two battle. Another big slide by the 20.
Reddick, is he going to cross him over? No, he wants that outside. He doesn't even want to go to the bottom.
Stays up high, right up against the wall. And once again, Christopher Bell now with lap traffic at the bottom of the track. He can't go down there, and Reddick goes right by on the outside.
That was what he had to do. He had to get to the side of the 20 in the middle of the corner.
Real smooth up there, baby. Focus.
Focus is the word. Now it's out the windshield. The 00 is coming. 36 laps to a championship for Tyler Reddick.
When will they tell him about the 00? I wonder if he even knows the 00 is there. 00's got to make this pass quickly. Should be able to.
Cole Custer to the inside. He'll take second away from Christopher Bell. Now Bell up against the wall. Cole Custer will slide up the racetrack right in front of the 20. and now sets his sights on the 9.
And Christopher Bell seeing the championship roll away from him.
And Jeff, the 9 team has not alerted Tyler Reddick of the 00 at all.
Well, I'm not sure you want to change his focus. What's he going to do? He's running the top. He's going to drive it for everything it's worth.
You're afraid to tell him to go faster?
I just don't think it's going to help. I think at this point it would be about out the windshield. It'd be 35 laps to go. He has Earl Barbin on the roof. Not a lot of help right here with the lap car, the 86. No. I would hope to expect to get a little more room than that with what's on the line.
Reddick doing a great job. That right rear quarter panel just touching the wall about every lap.
And Steve, there's been one positive.
00 has pressure higher than the 9.
There it is.
They're going to be racing each other hard. Make sure you have something that when it matters.
Well, that was the 20. I think trying to encourage him not to give up. Don't give up on these front two battling. As mentioned, the spotter on the roof for Tyler Reddick, Earl Barbin. So much time with Jimmy Johnson. He knows how to close championships. Well, if he's ever going to use that expertise, that veteran knowledge, now's the time to try to coach his young driver to the finish.
Let's see what our lap times are right now. Pretty clean racetrack for both drivers. Tyler Reddick, a 53. Custer, a flat, half-second slower for Custer. They'll both have complete clean racetrack this lap. I think Reddick's driving away from him.
And Earl was looking down. I think he's looking at lap times too, trying to make sure he understands what Tyler Reddick needs to do. 33 laps is a long time. A lot of opportunities for mistakes in 33 laps, Parker.
And Steve, there's been one consistent message on that 9-team radio. As you said, it's been all about staying focused. Keep your eye on the ball here. Keep your eye on the bigger goal. And they told him, if you just stay focused, you will drive away from them in that top lane, and that's what he's done here.
Jeff, you just hit me on the shoulder. Why? Because the 00. We wondered how long it was going to take the last time
sideways.
The last time through 3 and 4, the 00 has finally gone all the way to the fence. No more car width off the wall. He sees what the leader's doing. Now's the time.
All right, Kelly, Cole Custer has made the decision to run right up against the wall.
And Cole Custer had been asking his spotter, am I making up any time at all? That's when they let him know he was a half-second slower on a lap to the 9 car, and Cole said, all right, I think I've got to move to the top. Jeff Benring said, okay, ease into it. We still got 30-some laps to go.
Yeah, but when he moved up to the top, he was slower. It actually hurt his lap time. That's a problem, Rick. It's hard just in the key moment of the race to go up there. He has no experience running up there. He hasn't done it all day long. Now he's got to go catch the fastest guy running the lane that the fastest guy wants to run. It's an advantage to Reddick. All that experience throughout the day. Right now, he is a half of a second faster than Custer.
Tyler Reddick, he's finished second and third at this racetrack, but it was in the trucks. Look at him, dirt tracking around Homestead-Miami Speedway. NASCAR nonstop. under 25 laps to go in the Ford EcoBoost 300 for the Xfinity Series. And NASCAR fans, you were there for every lap, every pit stop, every moment. So celebrate championship weekend with all your favorite drivers' gear. Visit NASCAR.com/shop. You see the focus in the eyes of Tyler Reddick running right against the wall. Tyler Reddick has a 3.3-second lead over Cole Custer. Now, Parker, does somebody come on the radio and say, okay, you've got a almost and a half a second lead. Do you back off a little bit, at least get away from the wall, as we see his hands moving so dramatically?
Rick, it's a great question. I asked Tyler about his aggressiveness and his plan to run up right next to that wall. If they would tell him at some point to maybe temper that, and he's unashamed of that aggressiveness. He told me, you know, early in the season, when they tried to basically temper his ability or pull him back, pull the reins back per se, he would hit the wall twice as hard. He said, I just have to do what I do best, and that is go drive 100% or even over 100% because that's where I'm most comfortable, and that's what we're seeing here. The team has not once told him to get off that wall. They just said, stay smart.
Stay smart. Well, we saw his hands moving. This is why they were moving so much.
Yeah, I think this was relatively big contact. I don't think this was small. See right there, he got in the wall, then couldn't get away from it. The right rear quarter panel got damaged on that hit. We're going to see how much that took speed out of it. He's been the fast car on the racetrack for sure, but that was a big enough hit to cause some damage.
2.8 seconds, the gap now between Tyler Reddick and Cole Custer. They don't need to come to pit road anymore. They have enough fuel to get all the way to the end. Is there enough time for Cole Custer to close the gap? He has moved his way just a bit off of the wall, running second.
Well, Tyler Reddick proved that damage hasn't hurt that 9 car as he runs easily the fastest lap of the field. But you mentioned it, he didn't contact the right front. I think as long as he keeps damage on that right rear quarter panel, this composite body, if you had any question about this composite body new to the Xfinity Series this year, it's getting an A+ for the effort and the damage that Tyler Reddick is trying to do to this car.
Rick, you
I ain't got the fence pretty hard that time, but don't slow him down much.
Nope. Don't slow him down much.
You had a great question to Parker. You know, why don't you get away from the wall? I mean, just, you know, you got a big lead, get away from the wall. Well, because this is what got you the lead. Like, how do you pull away from the wall and give up speed? The reason he's running there is it's way faster than it is a few inches down. So that's why he's running against the wall. You don't want to give that up.
And he's been running there most of this race. So he's, I would say, comfortable, probably not the right word, but he's at least used to running right up against the wall, where Cole Custer hadn't done it all race, as we see the one of Elliott Sadler on pit road. Marty?
Came down pit road. Rick said he had a bad vibration coming down pit road with 20 to go. Elliott Sadler putting on a fresh set of Goodyear tires, hoping that fixes that vibration.
Comes back out onto the racetrack. And the 20 of Christopher Bell, he also had not been running up against the wall much at all this race. And then when he does, contact.
That was a little bit heavier. That almost looks like it did catch the right front. Yeah, you can see right there the right front tire gets into the wall a little bit.
Christopher Bell, such a good year. All those wins.
Been an incredible season for Bell.
Had to win last week just to get here. You can see how much workload he's got. He's so loose.
Marty.
And that's part of the problem with trying to run the wall way too free, Jeff. And you know that's tough as a driver when the car is loose trying to run the wall. They've told him, even though here he is top of the wall here in 3 and 4, just run the bottom. We're not really gaining the time we thought we would gain by running the top. So we ran the bottom of 1 and 2 closer to the wall in 3 and 4. But you guys mentioned it, 7 wins. And he said going into Phoenix, even if we didn't win that day and didn't make the championship 4, it's been a fantastic season for the 20 team. Looks like they don't have the muster right now to catch that 9 car.
All right, Rick, I like the aggression of the 9. It's got them here. But I like your question. 17 to go, over a 4.5 second lead. I do think it's getting into the category where it's, okay, buddy, you've done it. You've done what we've asked. let's not lose a championship with aggression. It might be time to get the 9. Just give me a couple laps off. I hate to break his rhythm, Jeff, but you think one car length off the wall is going to hurt him that much?
I'd let him go a couple more laps. I'd let him just keep keeping into his rhythm. Remember, this guy is comfortable where most people aren't, right? He's in his happy space right now, but he's happy. He's like, I want to be here. I want everybody else scared watching me race. He does it every single week.
Fresher tires there on the 1 of Elliott Sadler. We're seeing him now get by the 9 of Tyler Reddick. Those two teammates at Junior Motorsports this season. Again, last race for Elliott Sadler. Had a vibration, came to pit road.
Okay, I'm with y'all now.
Okay, we're there.
15 to go.
15 to go.
It's 15 to go. That's my
15.
number. 15 or 10 right now. 5.5 second lead. Okay, Tyler.
15 to go. That was 22. Still great lap. Be smooth. Stay loose up there.
Stay loose.
Stay loose
I'm
up
loose.
there.
Trust me, I'm loose. but really, to me, 15 to go, 10 to go. Those are numbers. They're numbers that matter. So right now, yes, I think it is smart. You have a 5.5 second lead.
Right.
Let's give up 3/10. You give up 3/10 a lap, you're going to be fine. Get off that wall a little bit. Let's roll this thing to a championship.
Yeah, I think it's that point in the race. Dale Jr. and I used to have that. It was kind of a little bit of a code word. I'd tell him, that's fast enough. And we heard that. That means give me a car width. Just give me, and I'll tell you if it's not fast enough at that point, and I'll tell you to go back up there. Listen, I've been critical about Tyler Reddick and Dave Ellens. I've been critical that this kid, very talented, but he has to get the car to the finish. Well, he's getting ready to have me eat any word I have said all year long and just prove how much he's come. There have been races, Jeff, where he has made mistakes leading the race, and here he's put together, hands down, the best drive of his season, perhaps his career.
We saw him at Darlington. Think about Darlington. Think about California early in the year. He was so good at California, right against the wall. So good at Darlington, right against the wall. Those tracks where you would think this guy, this young, aggressive guy, is going to get himself in trouble. They were some of his best races. So under these tough situations, that's when he has shined this year.
Steve, you mentioned it about, 100 laps ago, that your driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr., used to love to run right up against the wall. The owner of the 9 team of Tyler Reddick, Dale Earnhardt Jr. on top of the box, watching very closely as his driver continues to run inches off the wall, and right now 12 laps away from a title.
Yeah, and if we're not comfortable with that, I'm not sure he's comfortable at all. He looks like a very focused car owner. I talked to Tyler Reddick in Dover, though, after that big accident on the front stretch at Las Vegas. He heard the words we all had to say about him, and he was joking around. But when the camera was shut off, he kind of hit me in the arm. He said, hey, I did hear what you guys had to say, though. You're right. I had a conversation with Dave Ellens saying, hey, help me. Help me. I need help. I'm doing all I can. Right there, though, looks like an extra.
There was a foot.
Okay, I was going to say 6 inches.
Yeah, he gave a foot to the wall that time.
He said he talked to Dave Ellens. He said, buddy, I need some help. Because when I get in there, I get so focused and I lose track of kind of what's going on. Dave Ellens said they would. And look at the pair. I mean, you got to remember what Dave Ellens did a year ago. He went just to this racetrack and won the championship with William Byron. Marty.
And guys, Christopher Bell's championship hopes officially over. They have a flat right rear tire from that contact in the wall. And he might spin out here, guys, but flat right rear for Christopher Bell, trying to limp it to pit road.
And the right rear coming off, the carcass of that right rear about to fall off. They have inner liners at these racetracks. He makes it to pit road. Green still for Tyler Reddick. That's what he wants to see, a completely green last of this race.
Right side's only. Right side.
Christopher Bell right now, contact with the wall, was racing John Hunter Nemechek, and you can see right there how he got into the wall. Big contact, actually slowed the car down.
That's what we're talking about with the 9.
Yes.
Right, that's what he can't have happen. A little bit of contact, it might not damage his car, but a flat tire would end his day.
So we saw Dale Jr. sitting on the pit box, very, very serious. Somebody else we need to think about. Who's he going to drive for next year, Tyler Reddick?
He's going to be with Richard Childress Racing.
So Richard Childress Racing, he's going to essentially be replacing Daniel Hemrick. Daniel Hemrick in 4th right now. Richard Childress has to be sitting somewhere saying, I got a guy that can go win a championship for me next year. I can promise you Richard Childress loves that guy right against the wall. Richard Childress loves aggressive race car drivers. He's getting one next year.
Under 8 laps to go. Tyler Reddick doesn't want to see a caution. wants this race to go green to the end. He has a 6.2-second lead over Cole Custer, and now he has moved about a foot away from the wall.
It'd be time to move to the bottom, Jeff. It wouldn't be a foot or the middle. I would be 20 feet off the wall at this point. He has done it. He has run the leaders down. Great pit strategy by Dave Ellens, bringing that 9 in early. That got him that track position, but the drive by Tyler Reddick, Jeff.
To this guy, that is 20 feet from the wall.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
He added 3 inches, man. That's 20 feet. Parker.
Hey, well, Steve, earlier in the race, you talked about how he's kind of bookending his season, winning at Daytona and now potentially winning this race and the championship. I asked him about what it would mean to win the championship, and he said, you know, when I won Daytona, I walked by that trophy every day in my house, and I don't believe it. I don't think it's real. It doesn't feel like real life. So I said, all right, what would a championship feel like? He goes, you know, it's cliche, it'd be a dream come true, but it also wouldn't feel real. None of this feels like real life. I can't believe I'm doing this at this level. And I mean, what an incredible performance by Tyler Reddick here tonight.
You're right, Parker. He's going to have to challenge reality if he's able to continue this for the next 6 laps.
5 good laps from you, please.
If he doesn't believe about that Daytona trophy that he started the season winning, again in the closest margin of victory ever in the Xfinity Series, 4 10,000ths of a second ahead of Elliott Sadler, and now just 5 laps to go before maybe an unbelievable dream comes true of winning a championship in the Xfinity Series.
This was a conversation all week on NASCAR America all weekend long. Jeff, you said it, I said it, I heard Dale Jarrett say it. Why there was so much conversation about Christopher Bell in the 20 and Cole Custer in the 00. Nobody was willing to rule out Tyler Reddick in the 9. We have seen glimpses of just this. We have seen unreal speed running the top of the racetrack. We were wondering if he could put the race together, and he's 4 laps away from putting together the best race of his young career.
It hasn't been perfect. Tyler Reddick has gotten into the wall. You see now that he's moved about 8 inches, maybe 10 inches away from the wall, we can see the scratches on the right side of the number 9 of Tyler Reddick.
I love the fact they said, okay, slow, you know, you're good, be smooth, be calm. Every lap, he's the fastest car. Every lap. Like, he has not slowed down. It's okay. You can give up plenty of time. You're in good shape. 6.5-second lead. And I know right now in that 00 pit box, they have to be thinking, what have we done?
Oh.
They pitted late, lost track position. And Tyler Reddick clearly with the best car, but you would have liked to put yourself in a position where they had to go around you on the racetrack.
They stayed on the track multiple laps after the 20 and the 9 came to pit road on the last pit stop. The fresher tires and getting to pit road first has made the difference today. Tyler Reddick under 3 laps to go now, coming up on 2 to go from Miami. 2 more times around. 3 miles remain in the 2018 season. Tyler Reddick has a 6.5-second lead over last year's race winner, Cole Custer, who was so dominant. Tyler Reddick has led 42 laps, looking to lead 44 to win the race and the championship. Cole Custer in this race, who's currently running second, had led 95 laps. And now, 1 lap to go, presented by Credit One Bank. Coming in as the underdog, Tyler Reddick has 2 career wins in the Xfinity Series. One of those coming at the biggest racetrack at the start of the 2018 season. He wins at Daytona. And for the final time, he'll work his way through turns 3 and 4. Not getting very far away from that wall, which has got him a championship. The 22-year-old is the Xfinity Series champion.
Don't know who it is. That is awesome. I love you. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, guys. We sued all your I'm not screaming because it hasn't set in. I don't know when it's going to set in. It'll be like Daytona again. Take a hot minute. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Where can I burn this thing down at?
The young driver started racing go-karts at 4 years old. And now the 22-year-old Californian said, we're going to burn this down. Tyler Reddick, the 2018 Xfinity Series champion.
Yeah, Wayne, I hear you now. Not true. They told me to stop.
Tyler Reddick is probably still wondering exactly what just happened. Waiting for the instructions from, you mentioned Wayne Otten will come on the radio. The Xfinity Series director. And now he sees his team. Tyler Reddick's going to bring the 9 in front of the 9 team. There might not be much of that flag left. It is, and it just got torn off. It got caught in the tire, the Xfinity Series champion flag, and it's gone. And here comes the champion. And he took the quarter panel with it when it took the flag off. Marty?
Rick, I'm not sure what was more impressive, his performance on the track or the burnout that left your quarter panel on. There's your flag. Tyler Reddick, your 2018 Xfinity Series champion, everyone. There's a hat, towel. Congratulations, Tyler. 22 years old, out of California. As a kid growing up in California, running all those dirt races, did you ever dream you would be a NASCAR champion someday?
I just knew we had to execute, and the year wasn't the smoothest for us, but I knew coming in here, if we just made it to Homestead, this is a great track for me, and it rewards my aggression. And tonight we hit the wall a lot, but the car kept in one piece long enough for me to get to the end. So I'm really sad. My flag didn't last very long. I already ripped it apart, but I was determined to get the fourth gear and burn these things down. These guys worked so hard all year long on our BurgerFi Chevrolet. We had to overcome a lot, and this year was all about just learning. It was an up and down year, and with everything we had to do it in the playoffs and reward us with a championship. So we hang our hat on that. I know people say, well, we're consistent, but we mattered when it counted when we mattered most.
I know what you mean, and I want to talk to you about the season. You win Daytona, but then in the middle you said some very rough times. Were there times where you doubted you could even make it to Miami?
I knew this team could make it to Miami. I knew all of our guys at Junior Motorsports on this team could make it to Miami. Justin Allgaier, Elliott Sadler, and Michael Annette have had good speed all year long. It's just a matter of executing, and we had plenty of opportunities to win races earlier in the year, and I just didn't execute. So I picked a really good time to get my life together and decide to win a race.
They're pulling in a championship stage behind you. It's got your name on it in front of all these fans. He gets to raise the Xfinity Series championship trophy.
Champion owner, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Kelly Earnhardt Miller will be down there as well. Tyler Reddick, the 22-year-old from Corning, California, started the season with a win at Daytona. Thought that might be the biggest win of his career, winning at that historic racetrack. And now he becomes the first driver ever to win the first and last race of the season. Tyler Reddick, the 2018 Xfinity Series champion. And preparations beginning for the celebration that's going to take place. The crew is going to push that car back into position. We heard Marty mention the stage already in place. The guy who ran second today, won stage 1 and stage 2, Cole Custer, is with Kelly.
Cole Custer led the most laps today. Unfortunately, they weren't the ones that counted the most there. Cole, how much of a difference did that pit strategy make for you today?
I don't know if that was all of it, but it didn't. I don't know if that was, looking back on it, that was the right thing to do, but I think if I could run the top better, we would have won also. So it's just we got so far behind, and once I caught him, our tires kind of equaled out, and then he started running the top, and I couldn't keep up with him. So congrats to Tyler. I'm happy for him, but it's frustrating. But I just got to thank everybody at Haas Automation, Gene Haas, Tony Stewart, everybody that's behind us. It was a good year. We're really close. It's just it sucks to be second.
We saw you make the move to get up to the wall at one point, but to your point, how difficult is it to go there and chase down a guy who's been running the top all night long?
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I don't know. I think that's just something I need to practice, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I'm lost for words for that.
When you came into this, you told me that you had never competed for a championship. I know you come up a little bit short, but how valuable is the experience of being here on this stage?
Yeah, it means a lot, being through this scenario. And I thought we kept our calm all day, and we did a great job. It's just it didn't play out right at the end. But we still have something to hang our heads about. We still won the Owners' Championship, which is really awesome. But still wanted that. Still wanted the drivers one too.
All right, so they clinched the Owners' Championship, come up just short there for the drivers' title.
Kelly, this evening, Christopher Bell ends up 11th, a lap down with problems there at the end, but it didn't look like the day started well for you, Christopher. What was the night like?
Not the night that we wanted, that's for sure, but just overall the season was excellent. We had really fast Camrys week in and week out, and unfortunately tonight I just wasn't good enough. But hats off to everyone on this Team 20 for Joe Gibbs Racing, everyone back at the shop. Thank you for building such fast race cars. And congratulations to Tyler, man. He did a great job, and he went out and attacked all night, and it paid off for him.
You guys had a strategy move that you had to try to do, be the first to pit. You executed it perfectly. Did you think that might help you out and get you to the front spot?
Well, it worked for a minute. We got out front, but we just weren't good enough. I mean, bottom line, I wasn't fast enough, and once the tires started wearing away, those guys just drove right back by me. So maybe if we got out front and then a yellow could have came out, we could have put more tires on, might have been able to hold them off. But bottom line, just wasn't good enough.
You were patient to wait to use the top as well. How bad was it up there?
I mean, it was okay. I just wasn't fast. I kept moving up, and I just wasn't good enough up there. So I don't know, coming back next year, just need to come back in here maybe with a different mentality, and instead of trying to take it easy and not run the top in practice, not run the top really in the race, maybe just go out there and do it, get used to it. That's what Reddick did this week, and it paid off for him. But the 00 was really fast, not running the top, so we got some room there to improve on our car, to get it better down. I can look at driver data going back for next year and try and get myself better here, but bottom line, just wasn't our night tonight.
Rick, sounds like Christopher Bell and the whole team did everything they could tonight to try to get there.
The future looks great, though, for the Xfinity Series as far as the talent that we saw on the racetrack and the way this championship was won. Tyler Reddick, we know, is going to be back in the Xfinity Series in 2019. The 22-year-old with his first Xfinity Series championship. Third driver following in the footsteps of Chase Elliott, William Byron, to win the championship as a rookie. Again, we saw Christopher Bell and Tyler Reddick were both rookies and both a part of this championship four.
Well, Chase Elliott, William Byron, and Tyler Reddick all driving for Junior Motorsports. So what a crop of young drivers coming through that organization. We see where Chase Elliott has gone to. Cup Series winner in the Cup Series playoffs. William Byron, Rookie of the Year at the Cup Series. You mentioned how great it is for the series. Tyler Reddick will be staying. Christopher Bell will be staying. Cole Custer will be staying. It's going to be a tough series next year for sure, Jeff.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a really difficult series. Good to see these young guys stepping up in these moments. And Reddick said it. This track, it rewards his aggression. There's some tracks that doesn't work on, but this track rewards it, and he took advantage of it. Great job.
We see Dale Jr. as well as Kelly Earnhardt Miller celebrating with Tyler Reddick, getting beat up right now by the guys. He had a lot of stress because he was running inches away from the wall virtually the entire race, but it has definitely paid off for Tyler Reddick as he is the 2018 Xfinity Series champion. And talk about big wins for Tyler Reddick. Starts off the year, very first race, and it was that close between Elliott Sadler on the inside, Tyler Reddick closest to us, and gets that win. We mentioned it was a tough road to get to this championship for, and in the end, it was pit strategy and the guts to run right up against the wall that got Tyler Reddick not only the win to bookend the season, but also the championship.
I like what Christopher Bell had to say, you know, only nice things about Tyler Reddick. He said maybe we need to change our approach, because I think that's where Tyler Reddick had it figured out. It started all the way back in the test session. They came here and they ran the top all day for 2 days, let him hit the wall, let him make mistakes. Dave Allen's encouraging him to go figure it out. And Jeff, from the first start of the first lap, the 9 went right to the fence, right to the top of the racetrack. And it wasn't perfect, you mentioned it. He did hit the wall a few times, but the car held up. In the lap times he were able to put down. I mean, he drove away to almost a 7-second victory.
It makes you wonder if some guys are sitting in their motorhomes right now rethinking their strategy for tomorrow's race. Because you just saw a guy just rip the wall all night long, make contact every now and then, but at the end of the day, still with plenty of speed to get it done, even with the car in the wall several times.
And interesting you mentioned that. One of the favorites probably for tomorrow's race is going to be the 42 tomorrow. And so amazingly, that is who Tyler Reddick has kind of emulated in his career. Such a young age. And there the winner sticker goes on the car of Tyler Reddick. And you see the smile finally coming out. To the victor goes the spoils. And it's time for Tyler Reddick. You saw Michael Annett come in there, congratulate him. Cole Custer's making his way in as well. Pretty impressive. Two young men battling there all race long. He gets congratulated from Wayne Aughton as he's heading up the steps, getting a little bit closer to being able to celebrate this championship. There's Brad Keselowski that's also down there congratulating Tyler Reddick. He's almost on the stage, Krista. We're going to throw it down to you.
Yeah, he's working his way up here, Rick. It's time to give out some hardware to the 2018 Xfinity Series champion. Tyler, come on over. I know everyone wants to congratulate you. We're going to start right here with the Senior Vice President of Marketing for Comcast, our series sponsor, Peter Intermaggio.
Tyler, congratulations. You know, we call this the series where names are made, and never more true than tonight. It was a long road from Daytona here to Homestead, but you put on a real clinic tonight. It was fantastic. So on behalf of 100,000 employees of Comcast, we'd like to congratulate you on our newest champion, the NASCAR Xfinity Series champion for 2018, Tyler Reddick. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Peter. And I know you've been eyeing that trophy for a while, so let's go ahead and give it out. Here's NASCAR Vice President, Executive Vice President Steve O'Donnell with the honors.
Yeah, Tyler, great start to the season in Daytona. You got to win. You ran great all year. Up against the wall all night tonight was tremendous effort. We're extremely proud to have you as our champion. On behalf of the France family and NASCAR, we want to say congratulations to you, Junior Motorsports, Chevrolet. We're proud to have you as our 2018 champion. Congratulations.
Go ahead and step on up, get your hardware. Quite a moment for the 22-year-old from Corning, California. He had to travel further here than any other of the Championship 4 drivers. You're not going to let that thing go. You just hold it anytime you want. Congratulations, but when we saw you cross the start-finish line, it's almost like the moment hadn't sunk in. What did you think? Had it not at that moment?
it seems like whenever things like this has happened in the past, whether it's winning at Daytona or just finding a way to win when I least expect it, it just doesn't really sink in. It's slowly starting to, faster than it did at Daytona the first or the second time, because I'm holding a trophy that's Xfinity Series champion. So it's just a great moment. This isn't going to be the year that, you know, the best car all year one. We had to fight really, really hard. I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of growing pains, and my guys just never gave up on me. This whole number 9 group, we dug down deep when it mattered most, and when the playoffs came around, we dug down and got it done. We had to run good, and we were consistent, and got to Homestead, and knew if we got here, we had a really good shot at getting this championship done.
You said it in the pre-race interview when you talked about how you were going to race this. I know you don't want, you can set it up there anytime. No, he's not letting it go. He's going to keep it. You said that this racetrack rewards your style of driving, aggression. You were going to run it right up to the wall all night, and that's pretty much what you did. Is that the difference? Is that what won you this championship?
I don't know about that. I just got a great group of guys around me. As we've ran through the course of this year, we've had our fair share of opportunities to run up against the fence, work on a notebook, if you will, to make our car better up around the fence. And when we got to come test here in August as a rookie, it helped. We got to get a lot of things out of the way, but we just had to do the right things at the right time, and Dave made the right call to come pit early and got us ahead of those guys. And once we were ahead of them, I wasn't going to let them back by. So we just had to go for it, and it worked in our favor, and now we're champions.
Did you show your boss? Looks pretty good.
Well, he's got a few of these.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. Let's bring Junior over here, too. Kelly, you guys, it's amazing what I'm going to slide in here, LW, real quick. It's amazing what you guys have been able to do at Junior Motorsports. The third time you have brought a first, as Justin Allgaier comes up, a first-time driver in this organization wins a championship like Chase and William before him. How do you guys do that? How do you find that talent?
I think we might need to ask this 9 team and Dave Ellens and all the guys. I mean, I wish we could bottle up how we do it, because if we could, we'd do it every year. But I'm proud to be here, proud of Tyler. I don't think coming into this year that people thought he would be a contender for this, and he just drove a smart race and had a lot of good help from spotter Earl and Dave, and here we are.
Okay, so this is the only way you get out of the broadcast booth, by the way, is being able to come up here on the championship stage. What were you thinking, too, knowing that we saw your other drivers come up here and congratulate, that Tyler Reddick, who we on the broadcast called maybe an underdog or a dark horse, not necessarily the favorite all year to win this, and now you guys are the ones standing up here on the stage?
Well, I think Dave Ellens probably knows Tyler better than any of us, and he told me on the way to this race that if they could get a chance to race at Homestead for the championship, that they could win it. And Dave had a great strategy tonight that cycled Tyler into the lead, and Tyler had the speed and the nerve to run the laps he needed to keep the lead. I'm telling you, to run on that fence like he did at the end of that race, that takes some precision. And he did such an amazing job doing that. And he earned it. He earned the victory tonight. He earned this championship. Dave and those guys put him in position to make it happen. So team effort.
Where is Dave? Is Dave back there with the crew? I know we can't get to the interview all the way back there. All right. Well, I feel like I knocked LW out of the way. I can't knock him out of a deer stand, so I'm going to knock him off the championship stage. But he's talking to the championship driver. Congratulations, everyone at Junior Motorsports. Tyler Reddick, you bookend the season. You won 287 miles away to start the year 10 months ago in Daytona. He wins at Homestead-Miami, your 2018 Xfinity Series champion.
We see just how strong Junior Motorsports is, with Kelly Earnhardt Miller, the co-owner and vice president of the organization, running that business on a day-to-day basis. But we've seen the successes that have come from that organization. William Byron winning a championship, Chase Elliott winning a championship, now Tyler Reddick wins a championship, and that celebration will continue for quite some time, at least the smile on his face. I think it's sinking in. He made the comment that Daytona didn't sink in right away, and now holding the trophy in his hands, I believe winning a championship is going to sink in very quickly for Tyler Reddick.
Well, I think he admitted it. It wasn't the best car all year long. He says there were times in the summer in which it struggled, but I think made it most valuable, it wasn't a late restart, Jeff. It wasn't a crazy something during the race. he was the best car when it mattered, and that's the finale. We know how this playoff format works. You have to find your way into the playoffs. You have to advance through the playoffs. There are a lot of ways to miss advancing. The 9 continued on their path, and he knew if they could get here, they could do it, and he proved it. Lap after lap after lap, inches from the wall. Dale Jr. called it precision, maybe courage. I'm not sure what it is, but either way, it worked out.
Clearly, everybody's going to focus on this race and what he was able to do at Homestead, getting it right against the fence, lap after lap after lap. But let's go back throughout the playoffs. And he talked about mistakes that he made during the regular season. He needed to get better. But in the playoffs, he was really the model consistency. In the next to last round, he kind of got a point, got out there in points and kept it. Didn't make those mistakes. So, a driver maturing, a very aggressive driver, put himself in position and got to a racetrack where he knew if he could come here, he'd have a shot at winning this championship. So the work that he did to get here was really, really good. And then tonight, he executed, winning the championship.
Well, there's more hardware that needs to be given out. And so for that presentation, let's head back to the stage and Krista.
Thanks, Rick. Yes, there is a separate Owners Championship to be awarded. So now again, here is Steve O'Donnell with NASCAR to make that presentation.
Tremendous year for Stewart Haas Racing all year. Cole Custer, a great effort tonight. Gene Haas, what you've done with your organization, Xfinity, and the Cup Series has been tremendous. Tony, we appreciate the partnership each and every year and want to congratulate you on our 2018 Xfinity Series Owners Championship.
Thank you. Oh,
that's it. All right, as they take photos, I'll let them take a couple of photos here and then slide in to interview the 2018 Owners Champions. Gene, I know it's not all of the trophies that you wanted after today's race, but this means something, everything that you do and pour into Stewart Haas Racing to walk away with this trophy tonight.
It's always nice to win a trophy.
And what does this mean to the men and women who work the hours at the shop and come in here and that maybe don't get seen? We talk so much about the championship picture, but it's all those random Tuesdays, Wednesdays, practice sessions. That's for them as well.
Well, it takes 52 weeks to get here, and now they're looking at another year before they can come back and do this again. So it's disappointing not to win, but it's always good to have a trophy for something, and this is a way of congratulating them for the hard work they did.
Absolutely. All right, Tony, slide it over here. I know the weekend's not done. This is a Saturday, so it's nice to have this. Not everything that you guys wanted to take off the racetrack today, but it means a lot, as I asked Gene, to everyone, the men and women who work for the team and wear the colors of Stewart Haas Racing.
Yeah, it really is, and it's so impressive to see what these guys and this group has done in 3 years to get us in a position. We were excited about coming to this race, obviously, after what Cole did here last year and how dominant he was, and he ran an awesome race today. I'm not so sure we didn't get him behind the 8 ball on pit strategy, but he drove his tail off, and the guys did an awesome job. The pit stops were good all day, just came up a little bit short, but really proud of everyone at SHR and everyone at Ford that helps out with this program. It's awesome, and excited about having 2 cars on the circuit next year.
Well, I know this is all about the Xfinity Series, but you've been on these stage situations as a driver, as an owner. There's some unfinished business tomorrow as well. What do you go to bed tonight thinking of your chances and your team's chances for that?
That's the hard part, just going to bed. It's literally the hard part, but we got a 1 in 4 chance, obviously, and there's 4 great teams that made it last year and this year, and we just got to be able to put the whole day together. It's just like today. It's it's a long race tomorrow, and you have to be able to put it together at the end when you need it the most. But I feel like we got the right guy behind the steering wheel and the right guys making the calls, so I like our chances.
All right, now here today too. I know, Cole, they already talked to you, but congratulations, Cole, on your input in making this happen too. Congratulations. I know they already talked to you, but congratulations on this Owners Championship and all the work you did to earn that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Honestly, I couldn't do it without the whole team that's behind us and everybody who stood behind us, Tony and Gene and Haas Automation, everybody who's a part of this deal. We've had a great year, won a race, and just came up a little bit short of the Drivers' Championship, but it's awesome that we still get a championship, and it's something that we can really hold our heads high about.
And I know how these drivers are. It makes them even hungrier for next season. Rick?
Yeah, Krista, something that stands out to me is we just heard from 2 owners who are icons of the sport. Dale Earnhardt Jr., owner of the Drivers' Champion, and Tony Stewart, owner of the Owners' Championship. Those 2 icons of the sport still invested heavily in this sport, but what a weekend it has already started to be for the Xfinity Series, seeing the championship won by Tyler Reddick, the Owners' Championship going to Cole Custer and Stewart-Haas Racing.
Yeah, and overall, a great year. The Xfinity Series, we've seen some really good races this year in the Xfinity Series. We commented every week about, wow, that was a really good race. So you've said it several times. You know, we've got a lot of young drivers in this sport that are staying. Tony just said they're going to have 2 cars next year, you know, 2 full-time cars, so more talent coming into the series. So, you know, the future of this series looks really, really bright with the talent that's in it.
And I think the format. I think we have a great format where there's stages and points and playoff points and all of these different ways to make the playoffs, advance through the playoffs. Regular season success is rewarded. While it didn't get Justin Allgaier to the championship 4, it did perhaps get Christopher Bell through the playoffs. A win ended up getting him here. I think we had 4 different organizations, 4 great competitors. In the end, though, Tyler Reddick running the fence consistently made it happen. It really makes me want to looking forward to tomorrow. What are we in for? Because last night in the trucks was a great race. Another great race tonight. Really a nail-biter. Even with very few cautions, it was never predictable. Nobody knew who was going to win it. Ended up being the perhaps the underdog in the 9 car.
Well, we said underdog, so is there an underdog tomorrow? I guess that's one of the questions that we're going to have to answer. We're here until 7 o'clock, so make sure to stay with us here as we celebrate the championship of Tyler Reddick. Stewart-Haas Racing, again, the Owners' Championship. But what a run that Tyler Reddick had to get that championship. And one of the championship 4 members, Daniel Hemrick, a little bit short, was with Dave moments ago.
So a long night for Daniel Hemrick, not what you were looking for. Where did the speed that we saw early, and it looked like you had a shot, where'd that go?
We just, you know, once those guys started pitting early, that next to last run,